Hey guys, welcome back to the 44 podcast. Today we've got a very special guest, Matthew Kelly. I'm very excited for this one. This is someone who, e-commerce wise, I'd say definitely in my journey, someone who I've looked up to quite a lot. I don't know. Yeah, literally, like, I don't know. I've always seen you as like the guy who's a couple years ahead of me in terms of where I want to be, brand building wise, all of that. And yeah, but if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, what it is exactly that you do, what you've done.
Yeah, well, I guess, obviously, I started my pod like 4 months ago, so maybe some people, this crossover audience-wise, never really been on the other side of it, which is why I want to do this.
Mm.
I suppose, yeah, in summary, fucking ecom entrepreneur. I've been doing it like properly since I was about 18, 26 now, getting old. I feel like I've done so many different things in ecom, which is probably good and bad.
Yeah.
Like, I've never focused on one thing, but I've got a depth of experience.
Yeah.
And like in the highs and lows as well, which we can get into. I guess most notably in the past few years, built two pretty big brands, Midnight City, neither of which I'm involved in anymore. Got that to like multi-7 figures in revenue. Then Neon Beach, which is like the fucking famous catastrophe
Staple story.
which got to like 8 figures in revenue and then came crashing down, but it was a fucking good learning curve. Now I'm working on my next brand, Space Goods, which I'm fucking rocking.
Yeah.
Hasn't launched yet, but with this one, I'm trying to take it to the next level, get it to like 9 figures and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone fucking says that, but we can get into that later on. And I guess prior to that, yeah, like stuff I've not really shared on my pod is like previous to like Midnight and Neon, because I did probably like 4 years. I actually had a clothing brand before I even got into dropshipping. So I kind of went like brand, dropshipping, traveling, then went back to the brand building space. And then, yeah, fuck, it's been a journey. Like, I like reflecting on shit I've done. I think it's useful. Like, I never used to put content out that intentionally. It was kind of like just built a bit of a niche personal brand following. Like, even like you say you knew who I was, it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And then obviously the pod, recently started sharing more. And yeah, I've come to the point now where it's therapeutic for me to talk about shit.
Exactly, yeah.
Particularly
100%.
because of like the bad shit that I went through. And then I was like, fuck, people actually really are interested in this.
It's very insightful. It is.
I mean, even watching your
it's
podcast,
just fun speaking to people, because otherwise you sit on a fucking laptop all day.
Staring at a screen.
it's something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess in some way I'm an ecom entrepreneur. I would say I'm a creative at heart that has figured out how to make money doing stuff that I like, rather than business person that has to like outsource the creative side. Like, for me, it started like designing logos when I was like 16. That's literally where it came from.
Dope.
Like, and then I was really into music. Like, I had a music YouTube channel and shit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I'd probably say, in summary, I'm just a bit of a fucking weird creative entrepreneur that's still very much figuring it out. Like, I do not position my personal brand as someone that's made it, because I fucking haven't made it. I've had highs and lows. It's in the process.
Yeah.
But I think that's what people want to know more of, because like, you get all these podcasts, these bigger podcasts like Diary of a CEO, which, don't get me wrong, are great. But when every fucking guest is a billionaire, I think it's a bit less relatable.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's a lot of underground people, probably like myself included, that have got interesting stories, I think, that are probably more relatable.
I feel
to
like
99% of people.
with the whole Neon Beach thing, right? This is like, it's something where there's so many lessons that you must have learned from that, and so much like value that you can give. Because I feel like even the fact that, let's say, it didn't go well, right, in the end,
very fucking bad.
but that's key. You can obviously, you now know that yourself. That's like the probably the best learning experience you can probably get ever, business wise, to be honest with you, because you had a successful business that was huge, and then obviously, yeah,
we can go into that. We can go into that.
This is what I was going to say, because obviously even myself, you know, I've watched quite a lot of your stuff about Neon Beach and all that, you know, talking about it. But again, if you want to sort of maybe just explain Neon Beach.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to play this chronologically? Because I want to get back to that.
Yeah,
dropshipping.
100%. Because
we'll mention this first.
even obviously you started e-commerce with dropshipping, right?
Yeah.
This is pretty much what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I guess, the Neon story, quickly. I mean, episode 1 of my pod, kind of probably 70% shared what happened. I mean, it's probably even more traumatic than it sounded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in summary, what happened there, I guess, in like a 1 minute nutshell, was with that brand, scaled it super quick. Literally got it from like 0 to $1 million a month in like 6 months. I mean, ultimately it was drop shipping, but the nature of the product is drop shipping. It's, it's a custom product.
Yeah.
So I don't really count it as like kind of dirty drop shipping. It was like branded drop shipping, you know what I mean? Like dedicated factories, all that shit. scaled it too quick. I was running it alongside Midnight. So like like summer 2020 was a fucking great time. Like biggest months I've ever done for both brands. Everything's going super well. I thought like, I fucking made it. Like give me a year or two, we'll sell both these brands and we're done.
Exit strategy, everything's planned out.
And then, I guess looking back now, I mean, scaled it too quick in hindsight. Had 0 employees, zero like proper employees in the UK and shit. It was all like freelancers, agency staff, which is fine. It was probably like the biggest business in terms of like people in the UK on the ground, like ever, like genuinely. I mean, it's got to be up there. Like it was fucking big. Like the first year it did 8 million quid, and then Midnight did 2.5. So the business did 10 million quid in 2020 with just me as a director. And then, long story short, I moved all the production from China to the UK. Think like trying to improve the experience because it was all right from China, but like COVID was perfect timing for that sort of product.
It's a good step to take. It is for the progress.
But it made shipping terrible. So like it was manageable, but it was like 6 week shipping, whatever. It was getting like 3-star reviews and shit. And I thought we'll bring it to the UK, put like £500,000 up front into this UK factory, which in hindsight didn't do enough due diligence on. They bit off more than they could chew, basically, and then effectively just couldn't fulfill any of it. And they had their own problems because of COVID, because they were a B2B supplier. I was left with 2 million quid's worth of orders that disappeared, which is quite a lot, because the AOV was like 300 quid, so it was like 6,500 orders, so do the maths. Obviously, social media heavy. We had this thing with Love Island that went up, so there was like TV campaigns going out. This is November 2020 when it started to become a problem. And like fucking hell, you start getting chargebacks, your Facebook ads.
What was the payment processor like?
Fucked. I had to change it like 3 times, but and obviously customers don't care about that. They don't realise that. And then a picture of me comes out with a flash car into like some Facebook group.
Oh no.
And it started to get very messy. Like the Daily Mail got involved and shit. It was horrible time. Like November to February 21, I'd say, was like peak issues. And like the business fucking lost like 2 million quid in like 4 months. And then long story short, basically got bailed out by a private equity fund, which taught me a huge amount about that whole process. Like learned what lawyers actually do day to day. And then worked with them for 6 months, and now sold my remaining shares in that, and it kind of wrapped up a very bad situation and solved the problem at the expense of my probably mental health.
I was going to touch
it because that's the most important thing. Exactly.
Throughout that, how are you coping like mentally? That's
I wasn't
insane.
Coping, to be honest. It was a terrible time. I think I've got PTSD from that, to be honest. Like,
who wouldn't?
Like 4 to 6 month period primarily.
Even when there's little dropshipping issues, I'm always like, you know what I mean? So I can't imagine something on that scale.
The thing that made that really bad was, it's one thing like the business going tits up thinking, fuck, like we're going to run out of money. But it's another thing having like my face and my girlfriend's face at the time.
Plastered everywhere.
Plastered everywhere. Like this guy's a scam artist. Which couldn't be further from the truth. I mean,
why would a fund bail you out if you're a scammer?
Businesses have issues at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was just such a public issue, and it was made very public by like trolls and whatever, and it was like the perfect PR.
Exactly.
I honestly think like health issues aside, probably doesn't get much worse as an entrepreneur. Genuinely, I've never heard of it.
Even as an entrepreneur in general is, I would say, tough. Like
like mentally, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, like honestly, like I was like suicidal about it at some points.
Man, I can't even imagine.
But like I have some close mates that I spoke to about it because they're all in like the Ecom space. But it was, even then, it's like still my problem ultimately. And like my ex-girlfriend, I was mentioning it before, she moved in with me and she was really good. She helped me a lot, to be fair. But even then, like I didn't tell her the full extent of issues, which I regret to this day, to be honest, because I think it probably had a negative effect on what happened with that relationship. But it taught me a lot, hardened me, and definitely humbled me, which I think was a good thing in many ways. But just get back on the fucking horse.
You must be ready for anything now, business-wise.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't think there's much that can stress me now. Like obviously stress me, but not to the same extent.
Was there a lot of reflection?
Oh yeah, like
time off sort of vibe.
Well, yes, I spent 6 months working with these guys, like March to September, like on like a good salary and shit. I had 20% equity in like the new business they set up around that. But I knew from the start I was never going to do that long term. It was just like, that was basically the deal.
Yeah,
they put all this money in to pay all the customers back, which was like 2 million quid in the end, by the way. And, you know, that's money that could have come to me if the business hadn't gone wrong, hypothetically. But I had to put things right in that respect. So, yeah, and then there was a lot of reflection. I guess like it was kind of weird because it was like, oh, fuck, I'm not like the leading business owner anymore. Like I felt like, I've got a 9 to 5 now, kind of, in my own business. But that was what I had to do, and it taught me a lot.
At the end of the day, yeah, it's what you
make.
had to do. Like, I guess you sort of got into a corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was literally like, well, if I don't do this, you know, if someone don't come in and bail it out, what's gonna happen?
Well, you face the music, I guess.
Yeah, 100% on a big scale. So, yeah, very tough time, but definitely come out of that with a lot of learnings.
Yeah,
exactly. And like I feel like more world aware.
Yeah.
So like prior to Neon Beach, how did you actually like get into e-commerce in general?
Yeah, going back, like the first ecom thing I ever had was, there's loads of different shit. This would have been like end of 2014 even, like
golden age.
Way back.
Yeah.
I had a clothing brand called Gentry Club. Like this was like way back. Like I worked in John Lewis in the summer and bought stock and like put a fucking logo on a Gildan t-shirt, and the kids in the year below, who ended up buying from my brand a few years later, by the way. So there's no beef. They took the piss out of that, and that was like my very first thing. Like, didn't know what the fuck I was doing, didn't sell anything. Like, sold like 500 quid's worth and had like 2 grand's worth of stock.
Yeah.
Didn't have like ads running or any of that shit. Then I had a leggings brand called Wavy Leggings. This is when I was rowing at uni. That did all right. I did like 10 grand in revenue with no ads. So I was like, oh, something works a little bit. That's print on demand.
Yeah.
Then I guess moving on a little bit, I was still in uni at this point, so like dabbling with a few things, but wasn't really 100% into ecom yet.
Experimenting here.
Yeah, it wasn't a real business at that point. And then like mid 2016, just before I ended up dropping out of uni, I discovered Facebook ads, I suppose, from like a fucking Facebook group. Started dropshipping ripped jeans back when like Geordie Shore was popping. So I was in uni.
That's a good time. That is a good time for that product. Yeah.
So it technically was dropshipping to start with, but then I started doing like 30 grand a month in revenue while I was in uni. I was like, oh, wait a minute, let's just stop going to uni. I had a little office like this size in Newcastle while I was still at uni studying advertising, ironically. Then that became a brand when we started buying our own stock, and we became a brand called Dusk.
Right.
So we had like Luke Hemmings from 5 Seconds of Summer, a massive band. I don't know if anyone knows him. I'm a sucker for that sort of shit. He was buying our stuff. We started doing like Sherpa jackets, which is like a Fear of God rip-off. Yeah. And like looking back, that was like ahead of its time. It was, in terms 100%. Of like, it was actually like a legit fashion brand. Like we moved to a bigger office and shit, which was like 1,200 square feet in the toffee factory in Newcastle.
Was this still dropshipped or?
No, this was like fully holding stock and everything. Using a third-party warehouse. I'd have been 21. My mate got involved, who was like a year younger than me. He runs Soar With Us agency now. It's episode 23 on my pod. And then that would have been like February 2017. So I'd like stopped going to uni at this point. I think I told my parents that I'm just dropping out. And they were like, okay, fair enough, whatever.
Yeah.
But then we kind of fell out, me and Ollie, who were running the brand at the time. Then we had a lawsuit over the name. Like we couldn't keep selling it. No. And it, basically just faded. Like we just had to stop selling stuff. Like we sold off the stock and probably came out with a few grand each. I don't really remember. And then like summer 2017, this brings us to, I was like, well, fuck. I don't know anyone in ecom. I'm not going back to uni. I've not really made any money. Yeah. I've got a bit of experience. I know Facebook ads now. So I got back into the dropshipping space, set up a few different stores, like back in the fucking golden era, I suppose. I remember I had a store selling leggings because I'd obviously done the Wavy Leggings thing, but I didn't want to do print on demand because the margins weren't big enough. Started scaling that. Then I started traveling like Europe by myself. I literally went on a 2-month trip by myself. It's on my vlog. Yeah. It's on my vlog channel if anyone wants to check that out. Golden times, I suppose, because I was just like, if I don't move and get out, what am I going to do? Sit in my parents' house?
You must reminisce on it a lot, all of them times.
Yeah, for sure. And then a real turning point was, I was in like Facebook groups and shit, and then there was like this event called the Econ World Summit or some bullshit. Looking back, it was such a scam. Like, all the guys speaking there were like,
it's like a mastermind.
Black hat cunts, but it was in Singapore, so I got like an economy flight to there. This was like September 2017 it would have been. And that's where I met, I credit that as being like the turning point in terms of meeting people in ecom. I met a guy called Jordan who was like 18 at the time, doing like $1 million a month dropshipping. He now runs a brand called Gleaming. He's like one of my best mates. He's like 23 now, I think. And a bunch of other guys. Yeah. And then it's kind of the butterfly effect, because like you put yourself in a room like that, and that was like my first exposure to like a different world. Like first time I've been to Asia, first time I've met other people that didn't just want to get a grad job.
Yeah.
And then I went to Bali, like Australia, Bali. There was like 2 years of basically just, I met these guys, met more people. Bali was really good. That's the best place to go if you want to fucking network, in my opinion.
Really?
And it's a great lifestyle, particularly when you're like early 20s, whatever, making a bit of money.
Is it all just
online.
like digital stuff? Is everyone just doing
all
online
digital
stuff?
shit? Like in Canggu, yeah. It's just nice weather, pretty cheap to live in. Like I get messages saying, I want to like do my own thing. Where should I go? Just go to fucking Canggu in Bali. And I think right now it's quite difficult to get to, but do the quarantine, whatever.
Yeah. And
yeah, did that, like spent pretty much 2018, rest of 2017 and 2018, like traveling all around the world. Like there's some mad shit on my YouTube actually. Yeah, I had a few different stores. I had one store where I was selling, I say stores because they were never intending to be like a brand or anything. It was literally just like, what can I make the most money out of?
Just drop stores, right?
Yeah.
And I would just do free plus shipping, like kitchen stuff. I think
Yeah.
I mentioned
free
this
plus shipping.
on the pod that you listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like products like this fucking ice cube genie, which was like £2 from AliExpress. I sell it for like 14 quid shipping.
Them ones where they're just stupidly cheap to source.
Yeah,
So it's like, it can't
back
not
in the
work.
day where
Like
£2 cost per purchase on Facebook, like, and I just run like the same page
CPM
posts I
for
did.
dumb.
Yeah, what was the CPM like back then?
Oh, I don't even know, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
And it just works. And I think I got that to like 500, 600 grand a month in revenue, probably making like 50, 60 profit. So the margins were slim, but obviously at scale, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then, kept doing that pretty much up until like the start of 2019. And then I was a bit like, I started to see like Facebook bringing in like feedback scores and shit. It was getting a bit tougher. Like ad accounts would get disabled. And I was like, well, I made some money now. Definitely didn't spend it wisely on a lot of things. Like bought a stupid car and shit for the first time. And then, thinking back, it's a long time now. And then like March 2019, April 2019 even, I moved to London with Fred and another guy called Seb, who I literally met through like friends of friends. Are like, fuck it, let's just get a group and like get a hostel house.
Were they all like
in London?
E-commerce?
Yeah, both in Ecom.
Yeah. That must have been sick.
And then that's when I started Midnight. And I was still drop shipping, but I was like, almost went cold turkey. I was like, well, I've got money now. Like, I know I want to build a brand. And that was always what I wanted to do.
Sort of take your time at that point.
It's more creative. It's more fulfilling. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to do something I could potentially exit from. Like, drop shipping was getting harder. Like, the margins were slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. And it just wasn't fulfilling. Like, I'd made a few $100 grand at this point, like, in the bank. And I was like, I really should have put that in Ethereum, by the way, at the time. But I didn't. And then, that kind of started like the next chapter, I guess, in my head, which was, building Midnight. And then that went on to, like, 2019 was focused on Midnight City jewelry. Got that to like £1 million in the first year, which looking back is pretty good for a brand, like, especially in that space. It's so competitive now. And then launched Neon at the start of 2020, ran them both for 2020, which is obviously what I just spoke about. And then it kind of brings us to 2021, which is like the fucking learning year. That was like a 2 steps back, 5 steps forward sort of thing. And then now I'm here. So that's kind of like a very expedited rundown.
Well, so you've been in the game for a while now, which I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's a shame. I really should be retired by now if I was smart, because I see guys that have been in the game a lot less. But I don't know, everyone's
just got a different journey.
Yeah.
That's all it is, yeah.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things. Definitely built up experience in a lot of areas that I think is valuable now.
Life lessons for real.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what do you think of the dropshipping industry just at this current time now? Because obviously it's been a while since you've even been involved in that, right? But people are still doing it, I guess. We're still in that industry.
Yeah, honestly, like, I started going on like Money Twitter a few months ago, and I see all these like kids, like, fucking. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Yeah, fuck.
To me, yeah.
And they're doing like TikTok shit, like organic, doing like £100 grand a month organically and shit. And I think, fuck me, like shiny object syndrome. So I think in summary, dropshipping is the single best way to get started in ecom if you have no money or experience.
Yeah.
Because it hopefully gives you some money if you do it well, but most importantly gives you some experience. Because like, I think the thing a lot of people look past with like online shit is like you actually have to have skills to be able to do it. Like,
That's it.
I don't know, like when I was maybe like 22, 23, like when a lot of my mates from uni or whatever, or like from home, I think when I first got this Audi R8 in 2018, I remember a lot of people started kind of noticing what I was doing.
Yeah.
It would have been when I went on that podcast that you listened to, and like whatever it's called.
Growth Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that came out. And I remember that went around like a uni group chat. And they're
Oh,
like, what's this
no.
guy doing? And then loads of people from like uni and shit were like, oh, I want to do ecom. And it's like, well, no, you don't want to do ecom. You just want a car.
Yeah,
That's it, that's
shiny
it.
object syndrome.
They're
Yeah.
probably
literally,
still
yeah.
saying now, oh, I want to do
Yeah.
ecom.
Whereas for me, it was always a genuine passion because it came from wanting to design logos.
Logos.
Yeah.
So
And,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, I only started making a bit of money from ecom like 3-4 years in.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
it wasn't like,
exactly.
and that was like compounded experience from like a clothing brand while I was in school. I think it was pretty much that first one I mentioned. Then the other brand, which did like 6 figures in revenue, but then we had to fucking close it down. So like, there's actually more than 2 brands I've run. I've run like a few different things. And then, yeah, drop shipping. Like at that point it was, to be honest, I just wanted to make money so I could travel and meet people.
Yeah.
And it was like the catalyst for learning and everything else.
Freedom,
But,
pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, freedom. Yeah.
Freedom.
And honestly, looking back now as well, I don't think that lifestyle's for me anymore because I'm a bit older. But like living in Bali, like making like 300 grand a year profit from a laptop.
That
that's
must have just been
fucking insane.
sick.
Insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I wanted to get back into like the brand building space to kind of do something more fulfilling. And obviously COVID fucked up travel for everyone anyway.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't want to be like island hopping, so to speak,
Yeah.
these days. Although there are elements of me that still like gets the itch for that.
Yeah.
What was the original question? Dropshipping. But yeah, I think dropshipping is the best place to get started for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I guess I thought it kind of died out because of Facebook, but then TikTok
Yeah.
has been like the resurgence, the renaissance of dropshipping.
It
but
is.
for me, it's like I'm now, yeah, I guess I've mentally graduated to like I want to do something longer term because I've been there and done that
Yeah.
and got the experience. And you know, I could probably do dropshipping now, but it would just take away from trying to focus on a bigger thing.
Yeah. There's no. I feel like you've
So-
outgrown it now. You know what I mean? You've done your
Yeah,
part.
yeah. I think you just learn a lot by starting
Yeah.
dropshipping, and like you know, you learn about cash flow, customer service, obviously ads, website, everything. It's like a fucking degree. It's probably a much better degree.
I feel
in
like
business.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
your baby, isn't it?
And obviously
Yeah.
with dropshipping, like it's not hard at all to just start a store and start a business. Technically, like it's so easy to literally
Yeah.
just get a store made and just get it launched. You can do it in a day.
It's never been easier.
It's mainly just
Easily.
mental barriers, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
For the majority of
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Well, a lot of people just think, oh, I've got to buy someone to make a logo. I've got,
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, 100%. Like I remember just doing everything myself.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly being in Barcelona in summer, like May
Oh, God.
2017, maybe June, on that
Yeah.
summer trip by myself, and I was literally sat in the shittest Airbnb, just making a website to sell
Yeah.
these leggings.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was
Mm.
not glamorous at all, but they're like obviously the glory days looking back. do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
yeah, that's the come up.
But yeah, like I think I read something on Twitter and it says like when you look back at like the fucking struggle days, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the most beautiful. But it's actually true.
It is so true.
When you were doing
Yeah.
drop shipping back then, were you just doing Facebook? Like,
Literally just Facebook.
not
nothing
even.
else.
I mean, there wasn't even too many other platforms back then, was there?
Didn't do Google, anything. Didn't do influencers, nothing.
That's crazy. Like with Neon Beach, like were you multi-marketing? Like,
Yeah, that was more.
different-
That was like heavily Google and Facebook. It's actually more Google than Facebook. And a bit of like Snapchat and shit. Didn't really do TikTok. It was like slightly premature, I felt. But yeah, that was more broad because I'd built up that experience for like other platforms from like Midnight and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, was there a lot of money on the back end as well with that kind of brand?
Yeah, like big fat email list. I think we're doing like 20% of revenue from email.
Mm.
You know, all that sort of
Not
stuff.
too shabby.
Like even organically, like if you turn the ads off, it would probably do 100 grand a month because
Yeah.
there's just so much eyeballs.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it's
when
known.
when
It's
it's a
known.
product like that, you know, people don't buy it on an impulse. They might see an ad and buy it 9 months later.
Did you ever do like PR or anything like that?
No, I guess I got unintentionally a lot of negative PR. Well, I guess Love Island was kind of PR.
Because I've always
that whole
thought of that.
thing.
I've always thought of, like, I mean, I've had offers. You know what I mean? Like when you get like emails, it's like
Mm.
PR or whatever.
Yeah,
I've never done it. I don't know.
I think for my next brand, I was speaking to someone. They said I should definitely get into like the PR space from like a founder's perspective as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like these brands, and like I was saying before, like the whole strategic narrative
Yeah.
of like getting a brand that can sell for like 5x revenue.
Mm.
Like look at Gymshark, like how they've done that with Ben
Yeah,
Francis.
yeah.
It's such a great
Unbelievable.
founder story, and like
Mm.
a lot of big brands have it. Like Netflix has the story of I think he didn't want to pay the fee of sending
Yeah.
the disc back or whatever it was, and like there's loads of similar examples. So yeah, I've been thinking about that a bit more, just from like a personal brand perspective, but also just from a business thing.
Am I right in saying that you like paid to get like verification or something like that?
Yeah,
I think I remember hearing a funny
The
story.
smile comes out.
That's a dirty one. I think I mentioned that in like another pod, not the first one.
I remember. I just literally just then it just came
Basically,
up.
in summary, it wasn't verification actually. It was to get the username to get rid of code.
Oh yeah.
Was it verification? It might have been both. I think it was both. And then verification didn't work anyway.
Yeah.
So I paid 5 Bitcoin
Ooh.
off the record,
No,
which
no,
obviously
no.
now is now is a bit lower than it was,
Painful.
but at peak that was like 250 grand. And to get fucking 2 letters off a username for a brand that I no longer even own.
Oh man.
You've had a tough journey, man. Honestly.
Yeah, so that's quite funny, but it is what it is.
I mean, it's better than the guy who paid like what 10,000 or something for a pizza, 10,000 Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
There's that
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
story
yeah.
that you just always hear.
Yeah, so I don't think it's worth paying for that shit. Like,
Nah.
I've been scammed on verification as well, which was a dirty story, but I'm probably not going to go into that in case he watches. But and people I know have as well for like 3 grand, 5 grand.
One thing I remember, because obviously we had like a similar type of like store, same sort of niche, right? And I was very like, we had like 15 million views on the ads, you know what I mean? There's like a lot of like eyes as well.
Yeah.
And I was getting hit up from like rappers and stuff, like, oh, let me get one, then we got all of that.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories like, because I remember hearing what James said, remember James, about with Chris Brown. Do you have like any like thing that happened in that sort of sense? Because I know I got
Like,
scammed by rappers.
Influencer stories.
Yeah,
There's
scammed.
a few. I mean, probably a notable one was with Midnight City. I did a collab with Jay Alvarez.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, I kind of wanted to change the brand from like, it was sort of like Love Island-y spec to begin with, like tattoo models and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Which I actually think in hindsight worked better. But I wanted to make it like Bali aesthetic, go a bit different, a bit like 2J's. There's a brand called 2J's now that have crushed that whole like Barcelona, like tanned vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought like Jay Alvarez is like the poster boy for this sort of shit. Paid him like I think it was £45,000 for 3 posts, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
That was like a big chunk. This was like 3 years ago now. And it just didn't do anything. It wasn't a scam. I mean, he did post it,
Yeah.
but I thought this was going to blow up the website.
And it
And it
just
just like literally didn't even notice.
Yeah. I've had
So-
times like that where it's like, yeah, it's just so weird. Like, I'm just so
Influencers.
reluctant with influencers now to just do like upfront promos. I don't know.
Influencer, I've never had that great experience.
Yeah.
I think they're a longer term thing. You can like
Yeah.
sponsor them.
When you're like a big brand where they just
Yeah.
want to just spunk money away.
Yeah, and then like Neon used to send loads of signs to people. Like Mia Khalifa was one.
no way.
Big sponsor, obviously. Like I remember that being funny, but they just didn't post. A lot of them just take free shit and don't post.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
Yeah.
when it's like a 300 quid product, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But trying to think if there's anything else major. Probably not really. That was like the worst
Yeah. The
money
worst,
I spent,
like, yeah.
and it didn't work. But influencer marketing, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Is that
I've never quite cracked it.
Hit
Are you
and miss,
plan-
I think. Very hit and
you
miss.
plan on doing that with the new brand?
Yeah, I think, but it'd definitely be like a longer term thing, and like sponsoring someone long term. You know, like a proper ambassador,
Yeah, ambassador
rather
for the
than
brand.
just a
That's it.
post. So I don't think posts work.
Did you have any sort of like systems like that with Neon Beach, like ambassador program or anything like that, which you scaled?
Yeah, Christ. I mean, it would have been a dirty Google sheet. It wasn't anything
Yeah,
fancy. Like
yeah,
I've
yeah,
actually
yeah.
used like fancy softwares like Grin, and there's another one called, I think I tried influencer.com, which is Casper
I
Lee's
think
one.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Don't know if I've actually signed up with them, but yeah, and you pay all this money for these fancy platforms. But I just came to the
Yeah.
conclusion that Google Sheet is best way
That's
of
that's
organising
what I
shit.
do. Like just like
Get a VA.
email outreach, VA
Cold
sort of
emails,
handles
yeah.
it, but
Yeah, you
It's
you
so
can
hard to track.
overcomplicate things with like fancy softwares and
Yeah.
shit. In a lot of ways, I remember I was paying. I'm not joking. Like £6,000 a month for this conversion rate optimization software called VWO
yeah.
for Neon. Like 6 months in, and it was too much to handle. And like, I shouldn't have been focusing on that shit. Like at that point, like I mean, the conversion rate was like 0.3%. It was crap, but it was still profitable.
Yeah.
So conversion rate optimization wasn't like.
Why would you say it was 0.3? Is there like is it? I mean, I guess with that type of brand, it just.
I mean,
that's just how it is.
As in, I think I was focusing on refining when I really should have just been focusing on the meat and potatoes.
yeah.
So to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just-
yeah.
I should have been focusing on getting the logistics better at that point.
That's
which
that's
was the
it,
problem,
that's
rather
it.
than fucking tweaking the color of an anti-cart button.
Mm.
It doesn't
Oh
matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know.
Like, it's
Exactly.
so granular, and it might make a difference, later down the line if you're a £100 million brand. But it was way too premature to be focusing on that shit and just building up like massive overheads, which you don't need.
That's it. It's so easy to just fall into that whenever you got, especially even just any store working. There's like always an app. You know what I mean? Or there's
Yeah.
always like a new software
Yeah,
or a
legit.
SaaS, just something, man. That I mean, I fell into that, and then you got like just bills coming out that you just forgot about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I just think, I don't know where I'm going with this, but just focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Have a deep like
Principles.
people will message me and be like, "What theme should I use for my
Yeah,
store?"
yeah.
Like,
Just doesn't
I don't
matter.
fucking know. Choose one.
Irrelevant,
Like, that can matter, like later down the line. But fundamentally,
Yeah.
do people want the product?
That's
Like, does it look decent? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, if you don't have a gut instinct for that shit, it's probably not for you anyway. Like, someone actually messaged me the other day. This is going on a tangent, and said, "Are you any good with Photoshop?" I was like, "I'm all right." Why? He said, "Can you edit this picture for my website?" Well, like, firstly, no. But
Yeah.
Get
secondly,
out.
you could do that if you had any initiative. You could do that on a billion different free
That's
apps.
it.
Like what?
100%.
I don't
YouTube.
know. Yeah. People don't
I
realize
don't know.
how much is out
I can't even imagine just writing that message though, because I get messages of random, you know what I mean, random stuff.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's like I
All the
couldn't even
time.
imagine typing it out even when I was like a beginner. You know what I mean, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's all mad. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy shit.
Anyway, back on track. What I was sort of thinking as well, which could be kind of insightful, is just like when you started Neon Beach, did you know
This
it
is
was
the
obviously
fucking Neon podcast.
this is that is it's just so like
So much trauma
interesting
coming
to me,
out.
you know what I mean? But obviously, I don't know, like, did you know it was going to be as big as it was, and like, how was it like even just like starting it? You know what I mean, like building it.
Yeah, because I remember because I was running Midnight at the time, and this is the thing. I already had a successful brand that I should have probably focused on in hindsight. I started it because I bought a neon sign, an LED neon sign, with the Midnight City logo just for my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute, there's no one doing this online. This was like November 2019, and I was in LA in some co-work space. It was a WeWork in Hollywood or some shit. And I made the website like entirely myself, like all the logo and shit, because I've always been good at that stuff. Literally filmed an ad like the next week and got a sale in the first day. I think in month one it did like 100 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fuck, we're on something here.
Yeah.
And I've always just liked that aesthetic, like pink lights and shit. So it was really almost like a passion project. Like I didn't, which is why it pisses me off when people are like, oh, fucking scam and shit. Like, I already had a good business. I didn't need to start this.
Yeah.
And then, like pretty much straight away I thought, fuck, like this is going to be the one.
Yeah.
And then as well, like before shit went tits up, like I was getting approached by like investment funds that are like, we really like this. There was one in Miami actually that I spoke to for like 2 months. Would have been like September 2020. They were like, we've never seen growth like this. Like we're interested in maybe doing a deal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, like, this is going to be £100 million business. And I still think there can be a neon brand that gets to 300 million revenue.
Definitely.
I really do, because the scale is so mad, like potentially.
People just want the product,
It's
and it's not
just
easy
really
to get
hard.
it. Yeah.
It's a really hard product to
That's it.
scale, which is what I think a lot of brands have found. Like there's a lot of brands that were around the same time that have disappeared as well.
Yeah.
There's like one or two that are still around, but I mean, I try not to follow them now because it's like,
Yeah.
it's not therapeutic.
Pain. Yeah.
But yeah, like I guess it started honestly as like a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck, it's working.
Yeah.
Like nothing I've ever started, apart from this next one, has been that intentional. It always started as, oh, I'm quite interested in that. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, it's a winning
And
product.
Like I'd rather start
Yeah.
and figure it out than spend a year planning something, which I think is such a problem for so many people. Like even with Space Goods, which we can come on to, like the first product, I'll be honest, probably is 80% how I want it to be, but I'd rather get it out and get feedback ASAP rather than
work
spending
on it.
6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, this might be better. Like, don't fucking matter until you have customers.
Facts.
So that's just the way I've always approached it, which is probably, I'm quite a high risk, I suppose, which has maybe got me in hot water in the past, like going too quick. But I just think if something's working,
No, it's the best way.
just put your foot on the gas and like you'll figure it out.
Jump in the deep end, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you like even get into Space Goods and like how did you think of this brand idea?
Yeah, so I was having this conversation last night with this guy. I guess I probably need to like refine the founder story, but from a purely raw perspective, I'd always been interested in like psychedelics and like just general nootropics and shit. Obviously nootropics are legal, psychedelics aren't in the UK. So I've only ever done them outside.
This is not advice, by the way. This is not advice.
Yeah, and then like I knew I wasn't going to stick around doing the neon stuff. So like the second that, you know, throughout like summer, I've always had like a Google Drive of ideas. Like literally, I could do this brand, I could do this brand. And I'd had the idea of doing something in the supplement space. And it literally was a case of, so, like, it started with that general interest. Like, I guess it was something I cared about, like mental well-being and shit. 'Cause it's probably been like my biggest challenge my entire life, to be honest. And then I literally like reverse engineered it. I was like, right, this time I'm going to get it fucking right. So like, what were the problems last time? So things like I didn't have a repeat purchase rate. So I need someone that people can subscribe to. I want a small product, at least an 80% product margin, which Neon never had, Midnight did. But you know, all these things like tick boxes. And I was like, well, you know, it could be one of a few things. It could be like oral care stuff, which I actually nearly launched, by the way.
Like what, the whole like teeth whiteness?
Yeah. And then I came back, I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Then I thought it could be like, you know, some sort of, I thought Huel's a really interesting brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting
definitely.
business. Like, I use that shit all the time. So I thought, could we try and compete with Huel? And I thought, well, I'm not that passionate about it. I think it's probably a bit crowded. And then I was like, well, nootropics and shit I've always been interested in. Like, I used to take like dirty like pills and fucking barley, like Adderall and shit, like legal stuff. I've always been interested in like cognitive performance, and I was like, well, that's all great, but there's obviously a lot of competition in that space already anyway. Yeah. And then I was like, well, psychedelics are illegal, but I think there's going to be, I think it's 10 years behind CBD,
right?
In terms of like commercializing what used to be taboo. You know, like I don't like CBD personally. I don't smoke weed or any of that, but a lot of people love it. And like you've got like trip drinks, whatever that is. So that's a great example of a brilliant brand that, particularly in the UK, has like dominated that space. Yeah. But then obviously, you know, you can't sell psychedelics. It's illegal. Yeah. But then I was like, well, there's like natural mushroom ingredients like lion's mane and shit, which I've taken before, and like it helps me feel more calm and focused. X, Y, Z, like similar effect to CBD in many ways, just from a mushroom angle rather than CBD, weed, all that shit. And then I was like, okay, like all the brands in this space are very like vanilla, is what I'd say. Like, they're all very like blue, black, grey, like aimed at middle-aged women. They're all in capsule form, and I can't swallow tablets. Oh, right. So this is a weird thing. So I tried a nootropic product last year, and it was all, my mate gave it to me. He was like sponsored by it, and it was like all capsules. So I had to like pour. I literally can't swallow tablets.
You snapped it in half, poured it in.
Literally, This is just like a terrible experience. So I was like, well, there's got to be space for a brand that firstly doesn't do it in like such a medical way, and it's more like enjoyment,
it's like fun
gummies, powders, shit you want to drink or eat or whatever. Similar to how Trip have done it from a CBD perspective.
Colourful packets and cans and
then I was like, well, the mushroom space like isn't that crowded yet in terms of like lion's mane, nootropics, all this sort of shit. But there's certainly not a brand that's pushing like the psychedelic angle, which is a bit risky, I think. I mean, I'll find out. Yeah. And then I was like, well, you know, microdosing like psilocybin and shit is like massive over in like San Francisco and shit. Still illegal, but there's a big like underground movement for all that shit. You know, it can help you work better, more creative, X, Y, Z, like can basically cure depression. There's a load of fucking studies going on now. It's like a Netflix documentary, I forgot what it's called. Well, I think it's some guy called, is it Patrick Carhart Harris or something? I should know his name. It's some big scientist who's like research, like devoted his life to like psychedelics and shit. So watch that documentary if you haven't. And there's definitely like an underground wave of, I just feel that like actual psychedelics are going to become
it's just upcoming,
more legalized
the next big
over
thing.
time.
Yeah.
But for now, the way I'm positioning it is effectively like the products are a legal microdose imitation.
Right.
Which might sound ludicrous, so but it's like introducing people to the cognitive effect of certain shit you take, which is like obviously like the first product's called Rainbow Dust. It's essentially, you know, stuff that's already out there, to be quite honest with you. It's just probably a slightly more potent blend. But the way I'm positioning it is, this is like, it's almost like an education brand as much as it is a product brand. Yeah. That's where I want to go with it. But yeah, I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of how I came towards it. It was like a few different things. Like came from like an initial personal interest. Then I thought, fuck me, this could be like £1 billion industry or £1 billion brand potentially.
And then your personal experience with it as well.
And then aesthetically, it's very much me. So I think as a brand visually, it's like my best work because like I've like done it all. Like, I mean, I've like used developers and shit, but like creatively, like I haven't outsourced anything. Like the whole visual aesthetic, like the colors, the logo, all that is all me. And I guess it feels like a combination of everything I've done in the past has led me to like this next one.
So, I love the name as well, Space Good.
Do you know when you're planning on launching?
March.
Okay, that's soon.
So yeah, no pressure, but the fucking product better arrive on time. So version 1, product 1 is in development. But the way I see it going in terms of products, I'm probably giving away way too much here, but I think there's 3 primary like desires from a human perspective that this product can help with, or this type of product can help with. Probably 4, but I think 3 main ones. The first one is like focus and like work mode, which is the first one I'm focusing on. The second one is sleep and like general, like being able to fall asleep, all that shit, super valuable. And the third one, actually, I thought was going to be like mood, but I think that kind of falls into the other 2. I think the third one is sex, because I'm super interested in how, like, I know, you know, guys, myself included, I've taken like Viagra before and shit, like Silas, whatever. Not all the time. Mainly when I was like out in Bali in the past. I got it from a mate in Bali originally, and like people watching and whatever. It's like to do, but everyone's fucking taking it.
Yeah.
And then I just think that's quite an interesting category. But I think that's like longer term.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the first year, an actual product type, the first product's a powder.
Yeah.
So something you can mix with anything, basically, like mix it with coffee, mix it with a protein shake, with water, whatever, like low calories, etc., etc. Second product's going to be gummy. I think gummies are great. Yeah. They're massive in America, particularly. The problem with gummies is you can't get much ingredients into them. I've learned in the past few months.
Right.
And then like cans and bars, I think, because I think something like this could be massive in like Selfridges, like Waitrose, even like wholesale.
This is what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean,
which I've never done before.
Advertising wise, would it be allowed? Like Facebook, let's say.
Elements of the way I'm positioning it, I think, might be a problem. But in terms of the actual product, yes, because there's a billion and one brands, selling ultimately similar ingredients already. Yeah. But it's the first time I've gone into consumables of any kind.
Right.
So in terms of like, I won't say which supplier I'm working with, but like, instead of going straight to China, which is ultimately where everything's made, including like everything that says they're made in the UK, it's probably sourced from China.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm using like a product consultant basically, which is a bit of a middleman, and they're effectively like a lab that can, tell me what I can and can't do, tick the right boxes, and just bring my vision to life. Yeah. So it's literally a case of like, I got on a call with them a few months ago and was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to like ingredients. I'm not a scientist. I take
just tell them what you want, and then
how powerful can we make this without being illegal? How can we make it look like this? How can we get the packaging perfect?
QC pretty much on
exactly.
Type of view.
And they effectively become like your in-house nutritionist and like product development team. I guess, they put a bit of a margin on it, you pay them a development fee, all that sort of shit. So that's the way I'm working with it.
Sick.
Because I didn't want to be in a position where I go to some supplier in China, I put XYZ ingredient together, it turns out it poisons someone.
There's been
one thing
so
selling necklaces.
Especially when it comes to like consumables, you've got to be very careful.
So, I was conscious of that, which is probably me being slightly less risky for the first time in my life. But that's the plan really. And then, I've gone down the fundraising route with this, which I think I've mentioned briefly on my previous pods or whatever. But the reason for that is twofold. It's firstly, I could have funded it myself. It wasn't that primarily. It's kind of two things. At first, I didn't want to be the only shareholder because I learned the hard way that can be very lonely when shit goes wrong. If you're the only one that, everything falls with you if something goes wrong because you're the director, you own 100% of it, whatever, like it was for me last time. But secondly, like I was saying before, like the whole strategic narrative, which is a term that this guy Alex, who's on my pod, has got me on, in terms of like, how do I actually position this brand to make sure I can make 100 million quid in the next 5 years? Okay. Because that's what I want to do. Because like, it's one thing having, well, I guess it's a few things. Like this brand, I genuinely feel like can have a positive impact on people, which gives it definitely like a mission. Because like I said, mental health's been a big struggle for me. I want to do something in that space. But I'm also very conscious of, to have an impact, you need to have fucking money. And to have money, you need to have A, probably backing to an extent, but B, a product that actually sells. So, I don't want to be a science company that's developing something that may or may not work. That's why for now it's a product that is legal and, leads towards that. So where was I going? So that's the reason I'm doing that.
Sweet.
And I've got a bunch of my mates who invested actually. And then two other guys who, one of them runs a company now that's valued at like 2 billion quid. So like they know how to. He's actually coming on my pod. It's Jack from Wayflyer. So they're the guys that actually bailed me out. I think I can say that 'cause it's in like the public domain. So he's the biggest single investor, and the reason I wanted someone like him on board is probably can't add much from an Ecom perspective that much because it's not his bag. But what he knows is how to scale a company.
That's it.
Like they've gone 0 to 250 employees and I think $2 billion valuation in less than 3 years.
It's just the experience, isn't it? That's
just
the main thing.
That's ridiculous.
And I've come to the conclusion now as well. I'd rather have 30% of a £500 million business, which by the way, I haven't fucking done. That would be insane. But then 90% of a £10 million business.
Yeah.
All the weights on your shoulders that way then.
Yeah, and I think I want to step away from the screen a little bit as well to an extent. Like obviously still in the early stages, very much in the trenches, but I want my day to day to be filled with more like speaking to like advisors, investors, whatever. Like even last night I met with these guys who were interested in potentially investing. I don't think I need their money at the minute, but like they were throwing out loads of ideas for XYZ thing that we could potentially do, and these are guys that have been in the game like 40 years, and I've got to the age now where I realise how much I don't know. Whereas when you're a bit younger, I think you're a bit arrogant, and you think I just do it all myself, like I'm a baller, all this bullshit.
I'll take it all.
You want to just get the people who are the best at what they can do.
game.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is.
So yeah, that's really the plan. I mean, try and have a massive impact product-wise on what I'm doing, but yeah, I think it's an interesting thought experiment to say, like, and everyone says 100 million quid, and it's just like an easy round number, but like, how can you get there in 2 years?
Yeah,
which is probably pushing it, but like
it's like a game,
just stretching the mind.
Yeah,
and you can't do that yourself on a laptop in a fucking bedroom.
I've always said this: like, the power of delegation of roles is actually unrivaled. Because if you have someone who's amazing at editing and they're editing it rather than you, and you focus on something else, that bit's being done for you professionally at the greatest tier, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm actually so shit at that. Like, even when I was, obviously, like, it wasn't just me doing everything with Neon and Midnight, but I was so shit at delegating anything, like even customer service at the start, because I thought I could do it better.
Really?
And I probably could do it better to an extent, but because I'm pretty well-rounded in that respect, but it's just impossible. Like, you can't do it
especially
yourself.
in this game. Time is money, man. 100%.
Yeah. So honestly, like, I'm so bad at that. Like, it's just shit at hiring and like organising teams. Because I think as well, it's a bit of like, I ended up getting a few employees in the end, like actual PAY employees before shit went tits up. That was a bit of a mess. But even then, it was like imposter syndrome because few of them were older than me, and I just found that quite difficult. But then you look at businesses like Gymshark and think, well, you know, Ben Francis was 23 when he brought in his CEO, and the guy was like 50.
Exactly.
So he must have got.
What was it? You just thought that you weren't qualified enough for it?
I don't know what it was. Just a weird, like, this guy's older than me and they're working for me. It just feels
ego
like
concept.
uneasy.
It's ego concept,
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
don't know. Even though, like, it was a great job for them, and I don't know, it's just weird. It's something I need to get past.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always just been shit at it because, like, I can do, like, lock me in a room and I'll get any brand to £1 million in revenue. I'm certain of it. Like, in a certain amount of time, like anything. But if I want to get to that next level and do something, like, take it from being a big bedroom brand to being a legitimate fucking corporation. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm really trying to get my head around. And yeah, I've got a guy called Jimmy coming on the podcast who sold a brand called Hairburst recently. And he's been speaking to me quite a bit. He's kind of like mentoring me a little bit. And he was telling me about that. Like, that's the biggest change in terms of going from like making a bit of money like from a laptop to positioning a business that you can actually make like
a real business. That's it. Because even when, especially dropshipping, like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's so easy for it to just
like real corporate fucking business,
like systems underneath you and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's where I've been having a challenge getting my head around, but I'm intentionally positioning the next one. So right from the start, it looks like that. Because even now, like one of the investors, Alex, who came on my pod, he's like the smallest cash investor, but now we're doing like twice a month. He's like mentoring me because he's sold a business and made multi-8 figures. He's been there. Like, that's happened. Do you know what I mean? He's been where I've been at the start. So just being humble enough to realise that I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Because I literally feel like I don't know anything now.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I know what I'm good at, but in terms of like, you know, getting to the big leagues, like actually making like, you know, 50 million quid personally or whatever, which everyone says they want to do, and that's great, but you're not going to do it sitting in a bedroom.
Yeah, I always wonder though, like, how complex is it? How complex does it get? How high level does it get? You know what I mean? I don't know. And you can never know until you do it.
What kind of like differentiates being a bedroom brand to being like an actual like?
Yeah, exactly. I'm fascinated by that.
It's crazy.
Because there's obviously a clear step there. Because Gymshark went from obviously in their homes doing that to like still being well, it's the biggest. Is it the biggest e-commerce brand in the UK?
Yeah, UK.
It's definitely
sure.
It's £500 million revenue now, isn't it? Something
crazy.
Yeah, so that whole concept, and I think having spoken to a lot of people about it, like these investors and shit, it's just about removing yourself, giving it structure, and also like the whole strategic narrative, which I've said a billion times. I think it's so true. Like, how do you position the business to be worth a huge amount of money to the right buyer?
Got to structure it right.
Just another one.
How does it appeal to them?
XYZ products.
Yeah.
What I'm kind of wondering is like, how are you actually going to structure your business differently now? Are you going to actually like do like drops kind of, or are you just going to continuously sell it?
Yeah, so I think one thing I learned the hard way with Midnight City particularly is I didn't have enough newness, and newness sells. So what I mean by that is I would make sure I have something new every month going forward.
Okay.
Whether that's a new flavour, a new SKU, a new product.
Okay.
Monthly subscription every
Yeah,
month
something,
you get a new
'cause, like,
flavour. Yeah.
Brands that do really well, like I mentioned Sanucci, like Fred's nailed that because he has something new all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to get him on the pod, but he will come on. But I think with Neon it's a bit different because it's like customized products and shit. But with Midnight, I didn't launch a product for like 9 months and it was doing super, super well
Yeah.
in like 2019 and then 2020 because of like the COVID boom, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck is it selling so well? We have like 3 bestsellers and they've been the same for a year.
You want to keep the customers excited.
Exactly. Just keep the brand fresh.
Yeah.
And that would be the general approach, yeah. But it's also a subscription brand. So, you know, it would be, I mean, I'll probably play around with a few things, but every product, the intent is that people subscribe because they feel the benefit and they want to subscribe.
Yeah.
And that's also how you get, you know, raise the value of a business ultimately.
So many routes you can take with that as well. Well, MRR is the new thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Almost view it like a fucking technology company.
Yeah.
Rather than just an econ brand selling a product.
A product, yeah.
So one thing that I really want to like sort of touch on, sort of know a little bit more about obviously yourself.
After our 2-hour break.
Yeah, after our 2-hour break, which I'm just not going to address.
Yeah, we will not talk about that.
Glass of water.
Yeah, so pretty much, what is your like routine like as like a high level entrepreneur? Let's say.
Definitely not a high-level entrepreneur, but routine. Yeah, I work from home, so I've kind of always done that. Which we were saying before, I think there's pros and cons to it. Live with a flatmate who runs a similar business. I've always done that for like the past 3 years since I've been in London. I guess I try and give it more structure now than maybe I used to.
Yeah.
Almost give myself like a 9 to 5 because I think the irony is everyone like gets into like entrepreneurship or whatever because they don't want to go down a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But then as I've got older, I've realised probably need a bit of structure. Like I try not to work on like weekends as much and shit because otherwise it's just all consuming. I suppose for me, like generally I get my best work done in the morning. Like I'll do like 8 till 2.
Right.
Like kind of deep work. I don't eat. Like eat after. Well, I eat at like 2 p.m. Have my lunch then. Then I go like.
So you're looking forward to it. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna work for this food.
Yeah, legit. I've just like always like intermittent fasted, but I don't even think of it as a thing. Like, I just don't eat breakfast genuinely, but that's never even been like a biohacking thing.
I
don't like breakfast.
Yes.
I like having coffee and shit, mushroom coffee as well. And then generally go gym in like the afternoon. Probably like 3-4 p.m. Walk my dog. Which I now have.
My dog.
Yeah, my little miniature sausage dog is on the pod all the time.
I saw him, he's cute, man. He's cute.
And then, I guess, what I do after that, I go like sauna and shit, try and meditate. Yeah. Which I'm trying to do more of now.
This is it. And obviously,
a lot of people are talking about this now.
So meditation, right? You've been, I know you posted on like your Twitter and shit. What is it? It's like floating
sensory
pods.
Deprivation tank, I think that's called officially. Yeah, I've done that twice in my life. I've only started doing that like literally 2 weeks ago. But yeah, my mind is super active. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. I don't know if that's as a result. It's probably partly because generally smarter people build businesses, arguably, like in a certain way of thinking, like active minds. But also you got a lot going on. Like you don't leave it in the office.
There's like a million ideas always going around your head.
Yeah, like I've always just been a massive overthinker.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, like I try and say, well, that must mean I'm smart or whatever, just to like justify it. But yeah, I think I've never really. I think like feeling at peace and shit is become more of a priority as I've got older again. I don't know, maybe it's because of how much stress I went through last year and I just felt like shit for ages. And yeah, I'm by no means good at meditation, but I'm definitely trying to get my mind as the priority going forward because nothing else matters really if you don't get that in the right headspace.
That's it, man.
If you're trapped in your own mind, then you can't do anything, bro.
Not free.
I find it hard to work when there's just a lot on my mind. You know what I mean?
Oh, honestly, like even I think I put on Twitter the other day. Like I've started using Twitter just as like a fucking. I never used to share that much, but it's like interesting to look back on in a few years, I suppose. And the first 3 weeks of Jan, I felt so motivated and everything. Felt really clear and good. Then we had a massive weekend. This weekend gone, I was doing dry January. Well, I was trying. And then I think that just fucked me up.
Not so dry January.
I texted my ex-girlfriend and shit.
Oh, damn bad.
No, honestly, yeah.
Oh,
and then like I blocked her on Instagram. I like unblocked her and like bad. Got in my head so bad, and that's not a good combination. Like
was that because of the alcohol?
Yeah, 100%. And like honestly, like a part of me thinks I should do like a year no drink, but I mean like there's obviously levels to it. If I have a bottle of wine, it's fine. But if I go out to 5 a.m. 2 days in a row,
Moderation.
In moderation. Exactly,
I don't do that shit anymore. And honestly, I've had anxiety like all week. So only like feeling a bit better today.
So you're retiring from nights out? Is that
I really feel like I should. Like, honestly, that whole like balling in a club shit, like whatever, like it's cool when you're younger. I'm just kind of over it.
No, the thing is, he's still got to force me to come out on nights out. Yeah. I'm like,
honestly, do you know
like
what
one time?
No, you still go, come.
I think I've realised, like, I've never been, like, even when I was in uni, I was never like that into like big nights out and shit. I much prefer like going to a bar with like mates or whatever.
Civilized sort of
like jazzy sort of stuff. Honestly, like it sounds silly, but like I think this whole like Grey Goose bottle show stuff is actually
sparklers and everything.
It is cool if you're celebrating something, but most people aren't really celebrating something. I think they're just trying to
They go every weekend.
And it's fucking expensive in London. Man. Like,
celebrating the uselessness. Man.
I've never been sucked into that.
Have you seen people like be sucked down into like obviously go into money and then kind of go down that cycle?
Well, I mean, I probably did that to an extent when I was a bit younger, like just going out partying and stuff. But I'm much happier. Like I said, having like a glass of wine, like a conversation, rather than just can't hear anyone. It's never been my scene. I think probably a lot of people pretend it's their scene to look cool or whatever.
Yeah, look cool. And just fit in. Yeah.
And even shit like, kind of getting deep here, but even shit like on like Twitter, like I tweeted about my ex-girlfriend, this fucking comes up in every podcast. It's on my mind right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, like I'm like emotional about it or whatever. And like you get so many guys that are like, oh just get over it. So like get more hoes or whatever. It's like, mate, come on. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's what. I think that's just a front. I really do.
So would you say like the whole like girlfriend thing is that like? Does it keep you grounded? Maybe the fact that when you did have a girlfriend, it kept you grounded.
Yeah. So I've debated this since in the past few months since I broke up with her. Which I'm definitely not over. If she's watching.
Shout him.
Yeah. I mean. I definitely, I was a bit of a dick looking back in certain cases. I was in a bad headspace. I didn't do anything particularly wrong. I just probably said things I shouldn't have said and so on. But definitely regret that because she definitely had my back and shit. It's kind of deep, start crying.
No, it's all right.
But what was I saying? Yeah, I've come to the conclusion I think it is more productive if you've got a girl that you're on the same page with.
Yeah.
I think Iman said it in my podcast.
I was literally about to say.
Like a toxic relationship is the worst.
There's like different levels.
Being like actively single is slightly better, as in like chasing girls and shit.
Yeah.
Which probably everyone does to a certain extent when they're younger. Being like an average relationship is good. Then he was like monk mode single is even better. But I don't really. I get like lonely if it's like monk mode specs. I need to like see people or like. Right. And then like the best thing is having a great relationship. So yeah, I think I prefer probably having a good relationship than being single as an entrepreneur. I think it's ultimately more productive because you're not going out partying and stuff, whatever, like chasing girls, even though I'm not really doing that right now. I don't know.
This is what I'm doing. Do you ever have like phases of like monk mode or like?
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I probably should. I'd like to try it. I've probably just lived in more moderation generally. I think like I've done like 2 or 3 months not drinking in periods, which definitely helps me keep my own mind in check. Because I just notice like if I drink loads, it just gets me in a bad headspace.
Yeah,
I mean it does with everyone. Like you do stupid shit like text your ex, which then fucking brings out a bunch of other problems. Because what did I say? What didn't I say? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's about finding a balance. As I've got a bit older, I'm starting to think like I'm definitely not like a fucking player or lad anymore. Like I don't want to be that.
I don't think most people are. They
like
just
I was when I was like 22.
They're just influenced into it, man.
That's it, man.
This whole being toxic.
I really don't buy into this toxic masculinity. Like playing like literally like guys will say like hoes and shit. Like I think that's not me at all. Like, I'm like a fucking romantic cunt. Like if I like a girl, then it's like love. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's very rare for me because not many girls have had that feeling for.
Right.
Obviously did with my ex-girlfriend, still do. I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I've been deep in my feels about it.
It's just a situation, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's
I think she. It's a fucking relationship podcast now. I think stress that I was under made me say and do things that weren't a true reflection of my character in hindsight, and I'm not proud of some things I said to her and so on. Yeah.
I guess
And
everyone
it
makes
feels-
mistakes at some point.
Yeah, I
It's-
definitely made a mistake in that respect. I probably didn't appreciate her looking out for me in the way she did, because I think it's quite rare. I think most girls wouldn't do that.
I guess even
Or a lot of
especially
girls wouldn't do that.
as an entrepreneur, like there's always so many things going on. You know what I mean?
In
There's
the
always a new project or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you got to focus on. You can just easily distract yourself with it, but
Yes.
it's so easy to just forget what's in front of you. I don't know. Like I've also just had things just in general, just anything. Like not talking about relationship wise because I don't really. I don't know.
that
Don't
shit.
do that.
I'm not really like that. But obviously I'm just talking about in general like business, families. It's always so hard to just. I don't
It's
know.
hard
There's
to
so many
find-
things going on.
Yeah, you have to find a middle ground.
So
with
hard to find a
everything.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like this is something I've debated with my mates a lot, and they're all entrepreneurs, like similar age, some are older, some are younger.
Mhm.
But some people have this idea that like you have to make it before you can have a relationship, which I
No.
don't subscribe to, by the way.
No.
And then as in like they say like you can't go near girls, like you have to focus.
Yeah.
Girls are a distraction, blah blah. But then at the same time, like I said, if you're single, you have needs. Like you're gonna want to speak to girls and shit.
Mm.
So that's why I think I've come to the conclusion for me, I'd rather be in a healthy relationship if it's right than, just being single for the sake of, I've got to focus on my
Well,
fucking
focus
shit.
I feel like
Because
it's
you're going to be less focused anyway,
exactly,
in a way.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, maybe it's rose-tinted looking back, but there's definitely, I like having someone to fucking cuddle at the end of a stressful day.
Yeah.
And that's what I've definitely missed in recent months. And then it's like, fuck. I
I
don't know.
mean, I think it seems
definitely
like
keeps
you
you
just
going.
worked out what it is that you want. Like, obviously, there's different people at different stages in their life will want
Mm.
different
Yeah,
things.
that's what you learn. I don't know. It feels like there's unfinished business there for me, to be honest, with my ex-girlfriend. If she's watching, which she probably isn't, but if she is, I don't know.
Make it into a clip or something.
So do you think you learned a lot about yourself
Yeah.
throughout that period of time?
Yeah, but do you know what as well? Like, it's like anything in life. I feel like there's 4 pillars to like a truly successful life. It's like health, wealth, love, and happiness, right?
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
not just money.
No
And
way.
a lot of people, like, I think it's human nature, particularly like guy nature. When you're younger, you like want to chase the bag.
Chase
all
the
this.
bag. Yeah, literally about to say that. Yeah.
And then you probably sacrifice like your mental health. I've certainly done that.
Mm.
But without that, you've got nothing anyway. And then it's like health, wealth, love, and happiness. I suppose like happiness ultimately is actually the goal. Like,
Yeah.
like start get like
Regardless
I don't know. I
of
think
anything else.
you have to make a bit of money and do some stupid shit and realize what doesn't make you happy. To kind of realize that, but I think to be properly happy, you have to have, for me at least, being more self-aware now. I want to be able to chase a mission, but also have a relationship with mates, probably a better relationship with my parents, which I've probably not invested enough in over the years. And ultimately, yeah, like I look at someone like Scooter Braun as like successful.
Mm.
I don't look at someone like Drake as like successful in my view, as successful as him, because he's got like no family life and shit.
Right.
I don't know, like my uncle, probably shouldn't say this, but he's a super successful entrepreneur, but I've always looked at him and thought, but you have no family life. He's like divorced twice, doesn't see his daughter.
I guess you could say successful in one aspect.
And I just
but
don't see that as
it's
fully successful.
It's a whole circuit. There's a
All-rounded.
range of things. Yeah.
For me, it's like, I guess like my 15, 20 year vision is like, want to have built something great, made all the money, X, Y, Z, but then what does it matter if you don't have a good circle of, not just romantically and like family, but also like a good circle of like guy friends, girlfriends, whatever it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, maybe in the past year I've started to realize more what actually like adds up to be truly like the full picture. And it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think too many people kind of just bullshit themselves thinking, success is getting the bag, fucking dropping money in a club. And that is all cool.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I'm just happier fucking like, honestly, like walking my dog and having a conversation
The
with
simple
people
things.
that
The
I
simple
like.
things. Yeah.
Do you think your goals have changed since you were like 15, 16, looking into Ecom and stuff like that, and then to where you
Yeah,
are
I mean,
now?
when it started, it was like, the goal was buy an Audi R8, like, 'cause
Yeah,
that's my
I
dream
was just
car.
gonna
And,
say,
and
yeah.
I think everyone starts with material goals because they're more precise, and it's more easy to say like, I'll buy that car and then I've done it or whatever. But then you realize that's not it. And then for me, that like whatever, cars were like the material thing I chased and shit. And I think that's good, but yeah, Christ, getting pretty philosophical. But I think I've realised as I've got a bit older, which I keep fucking saying because I feel like I'm getting old now. But it's a more holistic picture. Like I don't think the person that's made 100 million quid but fucking has to do drugs every Tuesday to feel healthy is successful.
No way.
Yeah.
They're successful in one way.
at the expense of their health.
Nah, it's just
yeah. And I probably used to think, anyone that doesn't chase money, like I don't know. I don't think I was ever chasing money anyway. I was chasing freedom and excitement, and then money was a vehicle for that.
Yeah.
That's where I think like my parents have got me wrong in the past, saying like you chase money, all this shit. And my dad still says that, and it's just not true. Like, if I was chasing money, why would I should go get a job in like banking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't fucking sell pink lights on the internet. Like, that's much more flamboyant.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, you
creative.
genuinely enjoy making obviously like space because like a brand like that. If you genuinely enjoy it, then yeah, you may be getting money, but you're chasing your passion. So that's it.
Yeah, and I think you just realize like you have to make money to be able to chase your passion, and like like there's so many avenues to go down with that. But yeah, I suppose I've realized now probably what makes me happy and I view as success is more the 4 pillars: health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Yeah.
And obviously like work and businesses takes up most of your chunk in life time wise.
Yep.
But I think there's always time for the other stuff as well. Like there's an interesting analogy. I don't know if it's like a YouTube video or whatever. There's like a guy that puts like stones into a jar and he's like, this looks full. And he adds sand and he said, it looks full now. Then he adds water and it's in the still room.
Yeah.
And like the message there is like, it's such bullshit when people say like they don't have time for
make time,
like I don't know, family or friends or relationships. It's ultimately just priorities and being self-aware. And yeah, I suppose like, I feel like my age now for everyone, not just entrepreneurs, is kind of like that weird stage where like you're like a proper adult now. Like you're not like a 18-year-old where I felt like a lot younger, but I haven't got like wife and kids yet. I'm like probably like at least 5-10 years before that. I mean, depending on whatever. And like relationships, like the relationship I was in with my ex-girlfriend, like that was like, well, I thought we'd probably get married one day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe we'll get back together and get married. But yeah, like the dynamic with everything changes because if I'm like getting into business with someone or into a relationship with someone now, it's like I'm probably hoping it's going to be longer term. Because otherwise, why would I bother at this point?
There's no point in thinking about like the short term at this point. Or, you know what I mean? Like just even in general, like even with me, like I'm like like I'm sure I've got a lot of time, but like why do I need to focus on the short term? No. You know what I mean? Like let me just think about the long term. Like like it's cool to get a bit of money, like just run up whatever, like quick things. But at this point now, just in general with everyone,
it's a lot of like existentialism.
Yeah, and it's
like
so
involved. Like realistically, like there's no value in money. Like it's literally. Is non-fungible. Like you can't touch money, even though you have. If you had a £20 note, like that's just a medium of exchange. Right. And realistically, if you're working a 9 to 5, sometimes you can be happy, but if you're not, then your medium of exchange is your mental health. Yeah. Like realistically, you're suffering to make other people rich who are probably not happy anyway. Mm-hmm. It's a whole vicious cycle.
Cycle.
Yeah, and I also think like another toxic trait, and I think I've been misinterpreted on my own pod and stuff, and like my own family members, like I'll like jokingly say like civilians or whatever. Like not everyone, like I'm not shitting on 9 to 5s at all. All I have a problem with is people that want to do something and don't pursue it. I think that's the problem.
100%.
I think 99.9% of people are probably happier not building their own business.
I mean,
I almost wish I was one.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Like I've never. When I've said like entrepreneurs versus, it's an entrepreneurial podcast, so like that's the audience. But like my twin, I have a twin brother, non-identical twin brother, complete opposite to me. We don't look alike. He has a 9 to 5, so to speak. Good job and shit, but it's very different to me. Like, and there's elements of that I'm envious of. Like he's definitely probably happier than me in many ways. Certainly has been. It's a lot more stable. He can kind of switch off a lot more than I can.
Yeah.
He's like just less high risk, I suppose. So yeah, I don't want for a minute people to think when I talk about like distinction between entrepreneurs and civilians, which is a completely sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek term, but like just people that aren't entrepreneurs. People should just be self-aware. Yeah. And I think most people would be happier doing something that isn't entrepreneurialism because it's fucking difficult. But I only pursue this shit because I couldn't do anything else. Like I would quite happily, I think there's a billion great careers that people can pursue. The only problem, the thing I have empathy, the thing that frustrates me when I like my own mates, for example, from home, which aren't all entrepreneurs at all, is when they don't like what they're doing, but they're not willing to even back themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the saddest thing when someone can't even Like even if it's like to go and get this dream job after uni, like they just actually settle.
It's complaining with no intent to actually change.
Yeah.
Or to yeah, exactly. That's literally what it is. And I feel like even just the whole like 9 to 5 topic, whatever, I'm always so careful because I know that it's so easy to be like, especially with all entrepreneurs, it's so easy to be like ignorant about that type of thing. You know what I mean? Because we just can't imagine anything different. You know what I mean? Like it's, at least with me, like I've never had a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Never worked a
Well,
shift.
and also as well, people saying that they forget if you want to build a big business, your entire team is going to be 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
What you're gonna shut them.
exactly. Yeah,
And your customers
But
as
you
well.
need them and your
Yeah.
customers, exactly. So yeah, like I don't want anyone to think the message I'm putting out is that's like some bullshit. I literally think entrepreneurship is like an illness, and if you have to scratch it, fucking do it. But I think the sad thing is it's just simply everyone knows what excites them deep down. Like even if it's like something small, like I don't know, you secretly want to start like a fucking hair and makeup YouTube channel. But your friends are telling you, oh, it's embarrassing. Just fucking start it,
Just
man.
do it, man.
And also have a rethink about your friends. You know what I mean? If they just
So
push
just
down your
little things
dreams.
like that, because like I don't know, everyone has probably something that they know they would like to do, or and some people don't as much. Some people genuinely probably are happy, or they're like happy in their job and there's no major ambitions and whatever, that's fine. Like their ambition might be just to fucking have a chill life, and that's I'm kind of envious of that as well to an extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the point is just the saddest thing is when people don't even try something that they want to do. If you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Obviously, back in the day, you said that you did like, YouTube, you did a bit of vlogging stuff. You also said you did a bit of music.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're still thinking of doing?
Well, I used to want to be in like a fucking band. That was like my thing when I was like 6. Well, I actually did. There was like a few obsessions when I was younger. I did rowing for like 8 years. That was my life. So I wanted to be an Olympic athlete.
Right.
Damn.
And I was pretty good. Like I was like as a junior national champion twice and all this shit. If anyone rowing, they'll probably laugh. But it's a very niche sport.
Right.
I've got a mate who's in the Olympic team now. And
Is that the one who you had on the podcast?
No, but that's another guy.
Yeah.
From the same setup. But it's just not for me because I realised I kind of fell out of love with the sport. And I probably wasn't quite good enough for the Olympics anyway. But that was like my first obsession. That taught me like work ethic, honestly, more than anything. Because I'll be in a boat at 6 a.m. when you're 12 years old on literally an icy river in York up north.
That's nuts.
And that was the first time ever where like I realised if you put effort into something, you can actually go and be good at it or be great at it.
There's progress, 100%.
Like, so that's probably where I learned a lot of just fucking hard work, to be honest. And then the whole music thing, I kind of went through a phase, like an emo phase when I was like 16. I was always into music. Like I played guitar, sang a bit. I used to go busking and shit.
Oh, nice.
I'm definitely not like that good at singing. I'm actually better at freestyle rapping. Honestly, I'm pretty good.
Crazy.
Maybe we can do it at the end.
The studio.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Oh yeah, jump in the
studio.
stew.
Yeah, let's do it.
That was sick.
But then, I had like a YouTube channel
Yeah.
when I was like 17 doing like Justin Bieber covers and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
so cringe, but I used to get like 5,000 views and then people said I looked like Niall Horan and all this. But I was self-aware enough to know I wasn't quite good enough at like the singing thing. But yeah, then I had like the vlog channel.
Right.
So I guess I always had a bit of me wanted to like put content out. But to be honest, like, I mean, they were never probably the right things, whereas the podcast now feels like, oh, this is like the right thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, even for me, like I stopped doing like the music shit because someone from school said it was gay or whatever. I remember that.
Yeah, nah.
And then that's kind of deep. But yeah, so.
But that, I mean, because even like with all of us, we've been to school very recently. You know what I mean? Like, I still have so like vivid memories of just everything, man. And like, I even remember like people telling me, like I had one person when I was speaking about business a little bit, I never spoke, no one knew what I did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people anything, and I was still like obviously doing Joshua Weber then. Even when I was when I was getting it to work, no one knew from my school, but this was before when I didn't get it to work, you know what I mean? I was trying whatever, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to make this business X, Y, Z, I'm going to do this. And someone literally told me, they said, you're not an entrepreneur. You are not. You can't be. And I'm like, just watch.
Say no.
You know what I mean? And then obviously, that's it. But I feel like I remember from school just in general, it was so toxic. Just anything. If you had a dream and you've actually, no one said about their dream.
Yeah.
No one would even say anything like which is away from the norm because it was so weird.
true.
But I was always one of them people who I just didn't really care. I would I wouldn't tell people anyway because it doesn't affect me if they know or not. But like if I was gonna do it, I was gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like the one message I've said a billion times, like it's like with trolls on the internet as well. Like
nothing better to do, man.
people that hate on anyone in like any respect, particularly online, just aren't doing anything with their own lives.
Yeah.
And you really should feel sorry for them.
That's it.
Because like I can't think of a time I've ever written a negative comment on the internet ever, even if there was something to write about.
Exactly.
Because why would I put it out there?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just wasting your own time as well. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
really
it's just
make-
about don't be a complete cunt to people for a start.
100%.
But yeah, like if it's so true. Like haters aren't doing anything more than the people they're hating on.
I don't know anyone who's winning that's
No, it's usually just like projecting their own insecurities.
Yeah.
Insecurities,
that's
yeah.
It gets
it is.
deep. Yeah, literally.
And they're helping our
Like stuff
engagement.
going on
Thank
at
you.
home or something. God knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think anyone that's writing hate comments should seek help because it's probably their own problems.
And they're helping our engagement as well.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
With the Neon Beach hate, did you do any therapy thing or anything like that? Is there anything that maybe you did to handle it? Because that must have been tough.
I definitely need a therapist now. I think I've had like therapy on and off over the years.
Yeah.
I actually ended up speaking to some of there was a guy that made a Facebook group. He was like in his mid-50s. I mean, obviously a shambolic excuse of a man, and he made a Facebook group that like started all this hate, and I ended up just speaking to him he wouldn't go on a phone call with me. I was like, mate, let's just speak. I was trying to be like empathetic to how strange this man was acting. But yeah, I was like email back and forth with him, and I was just like, I think he was shocked how honest I was. And then the Facebook group ended up getting deleted because everything got resolved anyway.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really what you asked. But yeah, I suppose like dealing with shit like that head on sometimes is a better way to go. Or you just ignore it. But at the time, it was pretty heavy, so I kind of couldn't. But yeah, I think like therapy in general. I mean, this is therapy. Therapy is just speaking to people.
Earlier,
I think particularly guys have an issue with like sharing their feelings and shit.
They put on a front, man. They put on a front.
Whereas I'm like a fucking deeply emotional person. Like, that's just who I am. Like,
not scared to admit that, no.
Whereas I think it's such a strange. Again, it's like the whole like social media thing. Everyone wants to pretend that like they've never felt sad and shit. Fuck, like my entire personality is like ups and downs. Like, it's just. I mean, it's probably like even to a pretty extreme extent, but. Yeah, I think just speaking about shit.
That's it.
Like, I mean, like, even me bringing up my ex-girlfriend, like, every podcast right now is just therapy for me because I feel like I need to say it.
Because if you've got all them thoughts in your head all the time,
if
like,
they're trapped, then...
Yeah, I think that was why I started the podcast as well. I think, like, all you can ever be in life is honest and authentic. I think that's what everyone should strive to be. Even if that honesty upsets people.
Yeah. And
or admits that you're wrong. Do you know what I mean?
I hate to keep on talking about Neon Beach. Obviously, I don't want to like or anything like that. But obviously, the one thing which really stood out to me as well is I wanted to sort of know, like, at what point did you know? Okay, I'm gonna have to just like get in the process of not dissolving, but like I'm gonna have to like I can't continue this business anymore. It's
yeah. That's actually an interesting question because I spoke about this with my mate. I was probably in a bit of denial how bad it was for a few months, and then I finally like got proper advice from my accountant and shit. Which, by the way, they were fucking awful. They were a reputable firm. They did not help me enough at the time. Anyway, and yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. I think, and that's one thing I mentioned in the first pod. Like one of the biggest lessons, I think, when something's actually going wrong, whether it's in business or your mental health or anything. Or even just like you're fucking sad about a girl. Just admit that you want to speak about something. Or you've got a problem.
Accountability.
Yeah. Like, and I think people are afraid to like, I was probably afraid a little bit because I thought like, fuck, like all my mates think I'm a successful guy because I had been. And I still consider myself a successful person because I'm always pursuing. But like, even to like my own parents, like my girlfriend at the time, like it was like, fuck, are they going to think I'm some like fraud? Like, is she like, is she gonna fucking leave me? Because I don't know, maybe we're not going to fucking Novikov. Not that we ever did. That's just a meme. But yeah, like, do you know what I mean? And by the way, that was never the case. She was never in it for that at all.
Yeah.
Like that was like an ego thing you deal with.
Yeah.
And I think because so few people speak about just general day-to-day ups and downs, let alone like catastrophic failures like that.
Yeah.
So. And yeah, like that's why I wanted to share the large part of that story.
Like I really respect you for what you've done. Obviously, actually talking about it, you made a whole podcast. Yeah, and if you haven't watched it as well, I would definitely recommend.
Link is in the description.
It's definitely
I mean,
one
to
of
be
the
fair,
best
like,
I've ever watched. To be honest with you, it's just so raw.
There's a lot I probably didn't even say in that, but yeah, like, I think just admitting when something's gone wrong is very hard. Cause
was it a weight off your shoulders?
Yeah, it was a weight off my shoulder when I started like realizing that like. This happens to businesses all the time. going into fucking debt and like getting bailed out and shit. It's just shit
It
doesn't
happens to the biggest of businesses. You see like all the time. Like these businesses
like
where
every Premier League club is insolvent. Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like literally, but they all just have Arab money back in them, so it's fine or something like that. But yeah, I think facing up to like the realities of shit going very wrong at a large scale, like a lot of money involved, definitely like matured me and made me thicker skinned. Because now I just think like, how the fuck can I lose? I honestly do. It's almost like fearlessness.
100%.
But yeah, you have to like face the fucking beast to do that. Like I could have very easily, you know, just shut my laptop, so to speak, when shit was hitting the fan. But like it was every day, like just 15 hours a day sorting stuff out, and that was a horrible time.
What was like the sorting stuff out? Is it just dealing with like
a whole fucking load of shit? Yeah, I mean, it's probably a lot of a blur looking back now. Just dealing with customers firstly, deciding what to do, like ultimately then, you know, speaking with funds and private equity groups that, you know, can help with this sort of situation and getting advice in that respect.
How long did it take to like find closure after that business?
What, like legally or mentally?
No, like yourself mentally, you know what I mean?
Oh, probably only in the past like few months, to be honest.
Crazy.
Yeah, like that's why I wanted to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And use that as and probably start the podcast. That probably
that's what I was
put a lot of closure
that's,
on.
That's definitely a good way.
Massive learning curve.
Yeah, huge learning curve. And I was like, fuck it. Well, let's try and use it as a positive. Because my personality, I'd call myself like a cynical optimist. I think I put this on Twitter the other day. I don't know where I've come up with that, but like, I'll like take the piss out of my own fucking fuck ups now because like, no one's got any dirt on me when I put it all online already. Yeah. Like, yeah, I used to have a Ferrari, now I don't, but I'll get another one next year. Like, okay, what can they say now? Do you know what I mean?
What was it like having a Ferrari?
Shit.
Really?
Because, I mean, I used to have an Audi R8, which I much preferred, a green one. Should have kept that car. Great car. 4-wheel drive. Much easier to drive in London. That Ferrari is just like, honestly, a bit embarrassing, to be honest. I don't know, something about it just doesn't attract the right kind of
much
attention.
tougher to drive as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, much tougher to drive.
It's like, yeah, it's pay attention.
Yeah.
Like rear wheel drive, big flappy paddle gearbox, all this shit. 2014 as well, so it wasn't actually that modern. But yeah.
Do you think it was like an ego-driven kind of purchase, or?
It actually wasn't, to be fair, because I've always been super passionate about cars. Ever since I was like 12 even, to be honest. I was always a petrol head. It was never.
What's your dream car? I'm really
kind of had it.
In that. Oh, you've had
an Audi R8 was my dream car.
Fire.
I mean, where'd you go from there? He's always like levels up. I mean, I think, you know, having a Rolls Royce Cullinan or something would be sick.
Oh, the Cully.
My mate Tyler got lent one for a week. We were driving that around Mayfair. The black badge, like 450 grand
It's just
car.
been motivation.
Yeah, it is sick. But at the same time, I mean, to be fair, now the next car I reckon I'll get a pink Tesla and wrap it with the Space Goods logo.
That'd be. Wait, there's a way you can write something off there.
No, for sure. Well, a Tesla's already
free
right
marketing.
off. It's electric. And I think that'll actually be on brand as well, because I want to get
that'd be hard.
not this exact pink, but the exact like brand Pantone pink,
That's just
whatever.
promotion whenever
you're driving.
Free marketing, bro.
And then put this like moon logo, what do you want to call it? On the roof.
Oh, that'd be so
and then
hard.
put like a QR code.
Yeah,
I just think it would be like cringe to a lot of people, but I think it would look sick.
No, that'd be sick. Because people would like just take photos.
Bro, it would turn heads, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Like, eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, what was I saying? Like, yeah, I've always loved cars, so it was never an ego thing. But I think a lot of people probably thought it was, but whatever. Like, I mean, there's an element of it, like especially when I'm a bit younger, like it definitely attracts attention in good and bad ways.
Yeah.
Because I was in like a car club with like, a bunch of older guys that I met through just having that car. So like, there are ways that having something like that can actually kind of pay for itself, so to speak. But at the end of the day, like driving around central London, like my mate Tyler's got a Huracan Performante Spider.
Oh, lovely.
And he's getting rid of that now, because even he said like, geez, like it's just pain in the ass to drive.
It seems like a
I
headache.
get
in
tickets
London.
everywhere I go because people are, they think you're trying to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's very cool. Like, I remember going on like a third date with my ex-girlfriend. I picked her up in that Audi R8, and you just feel like a fucking baller. But I mean, girls don't care about that shit.
No.
They honestly don't. I swear to God that they care more about like sending them flowers.
I'm taking notes here, man.
It's a small thing. It's a small thing.
No, seriously, I've learned that, and like it's cool for you. Like, it's guys care about you.
Yeah, that's
Girls
it.
don't
It's
care
the
about
same
it.
with the gym.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, no, the bigger you get, the more guys compliment.
Yeah, the thing is, it's more the guys that compliment you, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, cars are cool, and I'll definitely get another silly car again because I love cars. I don't love the flex. I've always loved cars, but there's definitely an element of it's like kind of out of my system a bit, sort of grant out of that flexy stage.
Yeah, I remember you talking about like on that Growth Theory podcast a while back. You're talking about how one day you wanted to own a group of brands, and that's how you like what you wanted your end goal to be, right? Is that still the same?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like I initially used to call my like group company like Infinity 85. So I had this Infinity85.com, and like Midnight and Neon ended up being the first two under that. And I don't know. I guess now, because I always think like, yeah, let's try and like make all the money in the world before 30, whatever. Like whether it's 31 or 29, whatever. You know, like it'd be nice to like be fully caked by 30 and like not have to worry about money ever again. Take care of your family, whatever, X, Y, Z. But then it's like, let's assume that happens, because I'm sure it will. What, you've got 50 more years of a career. What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah,
like, you need something to work on.
Keep you grounded, innit?
So, and then I think, well, hypothetically, I build space goods and sell it. There's got to be a next thing after that. And I don't know, I think a group of brands, because I've always worked on so many like brands and shit, like something like the Hut Group. So the founder, Matthew Moulding, got the same first name, must be a sign. He's like 55, billionaire.
Okay.
I'm sure he's not doing it for the money anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Nah.
He made all the money
obviously
in the world.
with space goods, like you're bringing value to your customers. You know what I mean? There's real value there. I'm sure there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think just finding, and you hear it from a lot of successful entrepreneurs. Like I think George Heaton said it. Like it's about the mission and shit. And like Gary Vee obviously pushes that message a lot. These guys have already made all the money, so it's probably easier to have that perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like, I always think about this, like, so say someone sends you 100 million quid to your bank account tomorrow. Right, cool. What are you going to do tomorrow? Granted, you might, and like, how would you change your life from what it is right now? And for me, probably wouldn't change it much apart from I'd probably buy like 10 cars and I'd get my own podcast studio in like, you know, Mayfair and like whatever. But like,
polish
it wouldn't
everything.
be that much that I'd probably do differently. Ultimately, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd probably still do podcasts. I still want to build a business.
Yeah, like,
I might just hire people a lot quicker and maybe be in the trenches slightly less. But when you actually like start to think about that, it's a bit scary. It's like, oh fuck, well, then I should probably work on the stuff that I would do then now anyway, and then but as a result, I'll probably end up having enough of an impact to actually make all that money, which isn't the thing that you chase in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
Don't know.
That's
quite an interesting way of thinking about it.
That's a mad perspective.
Because people always think, and I've not made 100 million quid at all, but you know,
not yet.
that's like, but people always think, just on like social media and shit, and like, and I thought it myself, and I spoke to my mates about it. You think like, then it's done. Like once I made the money, then it's done. Then I can start my life.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense.
Like, I don't know. I think you should pursue something, and it's not all going to be fun and games at all, but like pursue something which is net passion. If it's like, if the 10% of the 10% of it that you love is worth it, it makes like the 90% bullshit, whatever. Because every business and job has good and bad parts.
Obviously,
everything.
Facts.
But if it's like net good for your soul, then you should probably do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because then I guess even when issues arise, like, you know that, you know, in the end, it's you know, obviously when the issues are solved, you know, it's still for you. You know what I mean?
Subconsciously, you want to wake up in the morning and work on that project, even though there's the cons that come with it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
want to get up and you want to do that task and you'll get it out of the way because you want to do the next thing because that's actually your passion, rather than I'm slaving away at this. I don't want to do it anymore.
Was that what it was like with Neon Beach at the start?
Yeah. So the observation I had with all that shit was it went from like started being like a passion project and like loving the start, and it's kind of the same with Midnight as well, but that didn't go wrong, so different. But then it just found myself like, even when it was going well before everything like hit the fan, I wasn't doing the bits I enjoyed anymore because suddenly I had like a team of 30 people in the Philippines, which ultimately reported to me. I had to step back and think about like, I'm a business owner rather than just like a creative making some shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's always going to be an element of, if you're trying to build a big business, like you probably can't just do like, I'm not going to just do like logo design. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to build a fundamental understanding, but yeah, what was the question? Fuck. I mean,
like with Neon Beach, right? When
it went from being like enjoyable to becoming less enjoyable, but the money was there, so it was like exciting, to then just being a fucking hellhole for like 6 months.
Right.
What kind of role would you want to work in now in terms of your own business, like space goods? if you had all of the systems in place, and then
yeah, honestly, like I feel like where I'm best, and I think I'm probably better than most people at this at my stage and like age and experience level, is just kind of the ideas guy, and like I said, like 0 to 1.
Yeah.
I think I can do it in any industry.
Yeah.
To an extent, like the creative vision, I suppose.
Right.
I guess broadly speaking, that's kind of like all the front end stuff I love. Genuinely
Back end
speaking.
stuff.
Yes.
And like, and I've built up enough of an understanding for like back end stuff, like, barcoding, 3PL, all the stuff that no one fucking talks about in any ecom stuff.
way.
They all talk about ad spend. No one talks about,
It's all about ROAS.
no one talks about like customer service automation or like
they don't.
dealing with agencies or cash flow, because it's fucking scary and boring.
I mean, a lot of people don't get there.
No.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Or at least in our industry, I guess. Like,
True. So yeah, I guess I'd like to just focus on the front end stuff. And probably the one thing I realised as well, which is why I want to spend less time just sat at a fucking computer, is I want to do it with more people, which is why I like the podcast, because I find the most enjoyable time is just sitting fucking speaking about shit I'm interested in, not even necessarily doing it, just talking about it.
Like a social project sort of thing, so you all kind of build it together.
Yeah, like one thing I was thinking as well, and I mean, I'm probably getting so busy now, but like my focus now is the podcast and the new brand.
Yeah.
And I think they tie in nicely together, but I'd like to do some charity thing. I don't know. I was thinking about setting up a charity called Rock Bottom. I don't know what it is. I don't know how I'd position it. I don't know how it would work financially, technically, whatever, but like some element of the brand, basically like a charity to support the mental health of entrepreneurs. Because I think it's such, like mental health for young people in this generation, particularly like post-COVID, is fucking challenging for everyone.
Definitely.
But I think even more so, I would say I'm someone that struggled with like poor mental health my entire life, to be honest. But then it's made even worse by the stresses of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a recipe for fucking disaster.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, I don't know. I'd like to potentially have some positive impact in that way.
I think that'd be amazing, because
Yeah,
as far as I know,
100%.
there's nothing.
There's
of
nothing
that
like
sort.
that. Like,
It's very
Yeah,
taboo.
like even
People
if
don't
it's
even
just,
think about it.
No,
You know?
even if
exactly.
it starts with, I don't know, once a month there's a fucking pop-up event that's free to come to, and just fucking guys and girls, like young entrepreneurs, come to and just get like free advice, like a network and shit. Like, I don't know, whatever. It's like, it's paid for by the charity, that sort of thing. I don't know what it could be specifically, but that's probably like a cause I care about beyond just making the fucking money. But again, you need the money and to build a business to facilitate that, which is the thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of. Like, you don't want to be the starving artist, which is why it's kind of funny, because I've had like debates with people, like I'm not a socialist at all, but I completely emphasize with, so I'm definitely a capitalist, and I'm not saying I'm a Tory or anything, but this is going on a bit of a tangent, but like I find it funny when you get people that clearly have a very privileged upbringing. I call them champagne socialists. They've never worked. They've never, maybe they've got some grad job that their dad slinged them,
And they love to empathise.
They love to hate on entrepreneurs that are trying to make money and build something, and say, you need to pay more taxes. But then they go back to their £4 million house in Surrey, having never paid tax themselves in their life, having never created anything. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of taking the piss out of those people because they annoy me, but I believe like capitalism and like people like Elon Musk, like that's why I don't think you should necessarily tax entrepreneurs and wealthy people way more. I mean, it's a way bigger debate, but those people are probably doing better, having a better impact than the government ever could anyway. Like, for example, one thing I don't get, and I don't know if I could ever do anything about it, is I walk through London. Why is there homeless people? Like, genuinely, why do homeless people exist? Why can they not go somewhere? How can we have a state where the NHS is free, which is an amazing thing? Like, go to America, it's a shit show. Yet, I mean, I don't know the economics behind it, but it just strikes me as like, how is that a thing?
Yeah, it's stuff like the Grenfell Tower. They didn't like facilitate any of the victims, but they did Big Ben with £8 million.
I think
stuff like that.
Shit,
It's very.
That's where like I'm a
hypocrisy comes into
capitalist,
play.
100%. But that sort of shit pisses me off. I think, like, where are they spending this?
It's just very questionable.
Where are
though.
your priorities at the end of the day? That's my.
But then, what's going on like behind the scenes?
Oh, I mean, that's like whole conspiracy shit. Innit? Like, I'm pretty.
It's all corrupt, man.
It's
100%. Yeah.
It's not going to get demonetized.
Like, even COVID and shit. I mean, that's a whole other fucking story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found it mad how, like, obviously, like COVID affected a lot of people, but I think the mental health side of things had a negative effect on more people than COVID.
It was
in my opinion.
overlooked. It was overlooked.
Massively
100%.
overlooked. particularly for people that run like physical businesses, like restaurants. I don't know how the fuck they even got through that.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin to imagine.
But it's kind of weird because if you look at some forward-thinking countries like the Scandinavian countries, they have literally I think it's more to do with the law system than anything. Like they actually try and help people rather than penalising people for true addictions. That's kind of the main vicious cycle with people that end up on the streets usually.
Yeah.
It's usually either debt or drugs or a mixture of both that usually cause that kind of cycle. But
Yeah.
Like, it gets that bad where homeless people actually commit crimes just to get a room in prison and get that food every day and stuff like that. It's just broken.
It's just broken, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if we can fix that, but yeah, I guess I'd like to try and think I could have some impact.
Yeah.
Like socially as well.
even if you help like 100 people, like during your lifetime, at least you've actually helped.
Yeah, exactly.
Like impacted it like positively and actually changed their life. That's a kind of outlook that I would kind of think with that.
It's a good route, like purpose-wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose like I was thinking about this as well, like because speaking to Iman, like Iman Gadzi, for people that don't know, he's on my pod. Like he's incredibly, like he's like a 40-year-old man. He's 21. It's fucking mad, but like he has like a clear life mission and shit. And I started thinking about like what's my life mission? And like, geez, I don't know. I don't know exactly, but probably like when I think about like the business I'm trying to build, like the podcast, maybe I'd do a charity thing. I don't know. Maybe having some sort of broader impact on like the mental health support of like creatives and entrepreneurs, because that's what I feel like I am, and that's where I feel like I've struggled the most.
Yeah, and you're not alone. Like there's so many people that have that. You know what I mean?
They probably haven't even spoken about it.
100%.
Yeah, so that's why I'm so honest about it on the pod and this pod.
So I respect that because it shows people the reality that not everything is rosy when it comes to businesses.
Instagram is very detrimental right now. Like
very toxic.
But people just it's literally just
it's a highlight reel, isn't it?
Literally it.
But then like mine's also a highlight reel, but I guess Twitter is a bit more like trying to share shit and like obviously like YouTube videos.
It's what's on your mind, isn't it? Yeah. Because on YouTube they can actually see what you are for you. You know what I mean? Whereas obviously on Instagram it's just like a few photos. Your life probably looks amazing. You know what I mean?
Let me stand by a rolls, take a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, legit. Like I fucking cried in my bedroom this week because I felt so shit. I don't cry that often, to be fair. I don't know what it was.
So just being like overwhelmed with everything.
I think anxiety from the weekend, missing my ex-girlfriend, and then just I don't know. It's probably just a build-up of things. Probably like PTSD to an extent because I'd never done that before.
Probably built up over time. Yeah.
There must just be a lot of just stuff under the cover that you probably don't even like. You don't even acknowledge that you know what I mean? just obviously from
because even I think lads are really bad at this. Like maybe girls as well, but I can only relate to guys. Like you'll speak to your mates, but you won't really speak to them.
You won't let it all out. You still hold stuff in. I'm bad.
I think that's just like human nature, particularly like male human nature.
As much as I try, I just
kind of like it kind of has a innate feeling that you feel weaker and
less alpha.
That's
superiority.
Is that the whole Twitter thing, the whole alpha male?
That's it. That's what I was about to say.
Like,
is it
don't
culture?
Subscribe to it.
Is that the reason why? Is it just because the culture?
Kind of it's been
definitely
programmed into us, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think. I think you're getting older and a bit more self-aware when, regardless of what stereotypes are thrown around on social media, you still know it's not you. So I had that realization with like the whole like alpha and like money Twitter G thing. It just isn't me. Like I don't want to call girls like hoes and shit. It's just not me. Like, and don't get me wrong. Like, not every girl I've ever spoke to I've fallen in love with, but it's just I don't know. I think it comes from like rap culture and shit as well.
Oh yeah, that plays 100%. A massive role. 100%.
I don't know if you like listen to rap whilst you're working or do you try and stay?
Yeah, I'm very eclectic music taste. Like honestly, like my favorite band is the 1975 because I've always just been obsessed with them from a musical perspective. And a lot of people would say that's like gay and shit or whatever. Like
that's their opinion.
I just think Matty Healy is just a creative genius. Their aesthetic inspired a lot of the neon stuff I've done. I'd love to get him on the podcast.
That's
I just like, and I love like Drake and shit as well. But I like a broad range of stuff. Like I literally listen to classical music. I listen to fucking death metal in the gym.
Yeah, same.
Because I'm such a musical person. Like.
Yeah.
And then like lo-fi beats I love listening to when I'm working and shit.
Yeah.
But I like music that makes me feel something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I kind of like getting in my feels about like a time gone by.
Nah, it's a kind of way to cope with things, or like again, like how the podcast you can speak about whatever.
Yeah.
When you're listening to music and you can relate, it's like so therapeutic.
Like, honestly, one of the most like beautiful life experiences I think I've had is just like, I used to do it all the time, just like a late night drive through like London in a fast car with very loud music, just by yourself.
Yeah.
Or with someone else, but probably by myself. Just playing like somebody else by the 1975.
Mine is
just
literally
going off.
walking down the beach, earphones in, and preferably evening, and just walk and just think, let it all out in your brain, and then I think that's really therapeutic on my part anyway.
Yeah, because like I just associate certain songs so strongly with like certain times.
Certain
Did we get
times,
that?
yes,
Certain
I get
songs,
that,
it's like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, I'm literally.
We
in
were
that room.
reminiscing on just
Yeah,
songs
yeah,
from just like
yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
just classics of like rap wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I could tell him where exactly I was
Yeah.
when I was listening to that song.
100%.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So powerful.
So it's like another thing as well. I feel like people, speaking to my mate about this because he's also been going through like some romantic issues, and I was like, oh, when I listen to like certain songs, that makes me sad about this girl and shit. But then it's like, if I put like Future on in the gym, I'm like, oh, I feel like a fucking G again.
Yeah, you feel like a boss straight after.
But
But it's like, there's a time and a place for that. But I think it's also good to like fucking feel shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
to let it out.
it's
man.
kind of it's quite a nice feeling, like being nostalgic about something, and like, I don't know. I always think like nostalgia is like a beautiful sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
It's
agree,
so
I'd
deep,
agree.
but because I don't know, it's one of those, not even just like girls and shit, but like times gone by. Like I think back to when I was like 22 in like Bali or whatever, and it seems like such a beautiful period.
You
but
can never go
but
back
you
to the
don't
past.
realize it.
Yeah,
at
you
the
can never go
time.
back.
It's like a
So-
staple of a.
And it'll be the same with this. I look back when I'm 30 and like this time or whatever. and
podcast era.
and,
Yeah.
and like you almost get an awareness that the time you're in now is gonna have this like
shows it.
retrospective
Yeah.
movie filter, and it's gonna be a beautiful.
Shows that
Yeah.
so many
memory.
things don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like there's so many like little day-to-day things that are just, they're not actually that deep. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it, like you just have to just enjoy the present. That's the most important thing.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Enjoy the moment.
That's it.
Yeah, I get so deep about that. So I'll literally lie in bed at night and think like, fuck, like time's going by.
Yeah.
Yeah, always
Yeah,
ticking,
no,
tick, tick,
I
tick.
don't know, it's
yeah.
almost scary, but it's like,
That's again like what's it called? Existentialism.
yeah, it is
So-
like existential dread or something. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's dread or just
it's not
like
dread,
awareness. Like
It's pure awareness.
it's
isn't it?
like the awareness of the fragility of time and
Do
life.
you know the term nihilism?
yeah.
Like
What
when
does that mean?
literally when like you think nothing actually matters. Like we're on this rock in this black abyss, just
Mad.
just
You can
spinning.
use that to your advantage.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, I guess nothing matters, but then it means that everything matters because
Exactly.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to give it
100%.
meaning.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like what's the meaning of life?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like it's all so fucked that we may as well just try and
Be as
trying to live
happy.
through. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, like the most beautiful things in life I think are just like giving meaning to things. I don't know. You give it your own meaning.
Did you learn anything more about like yourself or anything like maybe these type of topics? Obviously, when you tested psychedelics.
Oh geez, I mean, yeah. So I've dabbled, not a huge. I'm not a psychonaut by any fucking means, but I think I said this on the Ecom pod as well. My experience with psychedelics in legal countries is like I described it, and I think it was such a good description actually in hindsight, and it was off the cuff. And I was like, drinking alcohol or whatever drugs is like an up, then you get a down, and then you come back to base level, and this is base level.
Mm-hmm.
My perception of psychedelics, broadly speaking, is instead of going up or down, you go out and in.
Right.
And there is no come down or whatever.
Right,
It's
right,
just
right.
out and then you're off. So
Okay.
if this is like this axis, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It goes out on the other axis.
Just like a different perspective.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's really how I describe it. And yeah, like, yeah.
I don't think I could handle it. You know.
I mean, again, I'm not a fucking expert in that because like I listen to a lot of shit about like ayahuasca and like
Oh,
DMT,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I've never done by the way, and that's like
Mad.
really that's like god level shit. And they say like you leave your body, and
Yeah.
I've never done that shit. I'd quite like to try it. Like this guy called Dan Murray Serto runs a brand called Heights, which is a cool brand, kind of a competitor to what
It's a
I'm
great
doing.
name, to be fair.
Yeah, it's semi-competitive, but it's a cool brand. And he speaks a lot about how he's done like ayahuasca. Like I think he said like once a year for the past like 10 years. And he said it's an incredibly emotionally painful experience, but it's so therapeutic because it like brings up. Oh, this is what I kind of want to try it. He said it like brings up, I don't know, like child trauma, and you can like heal and shit.
Do you think you'll try it?
Probably at some point.
do you
I
know?
don't know.
I feel like you just got to be ready. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but how do you know when you're ready?
You hear horror stories about this shit, but then you also hear like enlightenment stories.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that you just stay in that trip forever.
It's like a
sort of,
double-edged sword.
But someone said that they were in it for like, it felt like they've lived a lifetime.
Yeah, it's
Like
that's
what?
mad, you know.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're
It is
stuck for a
scary.
whole lifetime worth of.
I think I just panic in that. I can't really say much. I haven't done it, so
No.
Yeah, it's mad. Like
that's
I don't
crazy.
even know.
how the whole brain is like a lot. I don't know. Like I'm not religious, but I definitely think there has to be something
There
more
has to be
than
something
just
more
science.
than just
Because there's when you die, you release DMT. Like
Yeah.
so, obviously, everyone says, I've had like a near-death experience, and their life flashes before their eyes. That's usually
Is that why?
That's usually DMT releasing
Wow.
from your brain.
Yeah. I know that.
Then people like come back and they say, yeah, I've seen Jesus, but usually it's probably something replayed in their past. Yeah, it's hard to like say, obviously, because
That's mad.
I find that shit so interesting. All of it.
really interesting. And people have like they've signed up to have their body weighed. Like they know they're about to die. They're like terminally ill, and like there's a minute difference like when they pass away, and that could be their soul.
Something.
Like, no one
yeah,
knows.
So there's
but
a change.
it's like the exact same
Jesus.
like difference in weight. They've done it across
Like
a
the
few-
soul weighs
yeah.
a certain amount. Fucking hell.
Weird. Like
Jeez.
it's weird to think about because realistically it's your ego your ego saying it's weird because we don't know anything else.
Yeah.
Outside.
Whereas
of
if it's
this
widely known,
consciousness.
the general thought would just accept it if that was just a widely known fact. But no one actually gets to that point where they can, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
live to tell the tale. Or
Yeah,
if they
it's
do, then
crazy.
you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, it's nuts.
There's loads of conspiracy theories like, oh yeah, I died and came back to life. Yeah, I saw this and that. Yeah, whatever.
I don't know.
Oh, fuck.
This is the thing that you'll just never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll just
No,
never
we
know
will.
until you know.
That's the beauty of life, though.
Yeah,
That is the beauty
I
of
feel
life.
like-
You don't know
yeah.
what's next.
Yeah, it's like when you think about like what is outside the universe, you literally can't. Your brain doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't compute
You can't
it.
even fathom
It's
it.
like when the
Like what the fuck is all this?
isn't there like colours or
Like,
something?
it's mad. What we
I
live
always
doing
think
now.
how small everything is in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
Like this mic is absolutely tiny,
but then
to us, it's
like a molecule that makes the mic is even smaller.
yeah,
There's like levels, isn't there?
And it's identical to the patterns of the universe.
yeah,
The
because
atoms are.
everything just gets smaller. Oh,
That is what's
crazy.
trippy.
And also the how we percept everything is built on radio waves, which are technically energy. So like realistically, we can't see past certain spectrums or hear
Yeah.
past certain spectrums. Like there's studies that are saying like if you cut a plant, it screams, but we can't hear it.
Oh yeah, I've
Like
seen
Joe
stuff like
Rogan
that.
posted some shit about like plants that look like birds, and it makes you think like
Yeah.
it's all fucking connected, man.
something mad is going on.
And like the Fibonacci
Yeah.
sequence as well,
That's it.
like the 61.8.
Yeah.
Like
And-
everything's like mathematical,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but then it's like what came first, like maths or I
Yeah.
don't know.
It makes me think I'm just living in a simulation.
oh bro, I always
Can't
like
lie.
But what's wrong with living in a simulation if that's all we know? Like realistically,
Yeah, very true.
like there's a high level chance that we're in a simulation.
It's gone off.
This gone off. Well,
No, that one's fine. The other one's
but like, who cares? There's,
yeah,
like, just make the most of it.
yeah.
That's how you have to
Play the
think.
game.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah.
it's weird. Like we're literally starting to go into
Yeah.
simulation within a simulation
Metaverse.
with the
Yeah.
metaverse. Like
You're not involved in any of that stuff, are you? Crypto,
Well,
NFTs.
not really. It's probably an area that for the first time I feel like fuck, like this shit's new. Like, yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, it's like NFTs and shit. I think like 99% of it's a scam, and
Yeah.
like in terms of all these projects and so on. But I think it will become just another avenue to like do business and
Yeah.
exist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How
Do you
do you
see any integration with space goods?
Well, I
Like-
mean, there's nothing I've specifically planned, but like common sense, I think like surely it'll get to the point where like, you can try the flavor of something in the metaverse. Do you know what I mean? That's
Whoa.
pretty
I
sure
don't
they do. I'm pretty sure they have something where you can like
so,
taste
like
or
an
Really?
easier
something.
application is like clothes. Like you'll be able to try on a
Yeah.
pair of something and it'll be
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah.
You know, that's where I see like the metaverse. But I don't think I don't think you can replace like human contact with a fucking meeting in the metaverse.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like it's better than a Zoom call maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you get a sore head from wearing the VR headset.
Exactly.
for a start.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like like the internet, like obviously the internet is probably one of the other huge things which has happened in recent times. Let's say where I guess it's sort of like changed the world, but the metaverse take it even a step further with like the goals it has to sort of like change reality.
it's a world inside
Like the
a
internet
world.
did not change. You know what I mean? Like that's probably the maddest thing is the internet, but for the metaverse to change reality, that's never been done before, and I don't think
a lot of
it's
stuff is like
possible.
NFTs are just going to be applications within the real world rather than just on the metaverse. Like in terms of just, it's pretty much just have like saying you have a receipt, except it's just digital, and it's a lot easier for proof of concept, like or proof of authenticity, all of that stuff. Like I'm pretty sure StockX will probably implement something like that.
Oh
soon.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
there's already digital real estate in the metaverse, which is crazy. I
don't see the point in that, to be honest.
Yeah,
like, why
certain things I think what the fuck's
just
going
build
on.
one on Minecraft, innit?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mate, my house in Minecraft's worth 14 million.
14 ETH.
Yeah, it's mad because you still can't feel it. It's like it's still not a real woman in the metaverse. You get all these incels that getting all these girls in the metaverse.
I really want to speak to someone who's like fully invested in the idea of the metaverse. Like, why?
Unless it becomes like human realistic, maybe.
How?
I don't know. But then like look at
because then you're playing with science
20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at the first iPhone. What, 14 years ago?
I said this to you the other day. Literally, the first iPhone was 14
and
years ago.
now you can make a cinematic film on a phone.
Yeah, and now everybody's
so think
got
about
one of these.
Exponential.
Yeah.
But then your feelings, even when you're playing a video game, it's still you that you feel. It's not your character that feels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess you still never get out of, you know what I mean, reality. Obviously, you can get lost in the game.
You can,
but you can't like actually be in the game.
Yeah, so true.
Crazy because it's going to build its own ecosystems anyway and kind of be self-sufficient in terms of, like, I think it's going to be really good in like the gaming industry. So obviously my dad's in the gaming industry, so he knows quite well, like it's very reliant on dopamine releases. But imagine instead of having to pay to get a certain thing, you can earn it with built-in crypto. It's kind of a crazy idea, like play to earn.
I feel weird even talking about this because I don't know a thing about it. You know what I mean? I feel so unqualified to talk about this.
Yeah, same, to be honest.
Literally.
It's crazy shit.
Yeah, no, I feel like just in general, I'm happy with obviously everything we touched on. I feel like we're at a good spot now. And again, I really do appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you.
Again, like this is a podcast that I feel I'm just gassed to do this one, you know what I mean? Especially obviously I can ask you questions which I had e-commerce wise, everything wise about your journey. There's a lot that I've learned from you today. I appreciate you coming on. But yeah, anyway, just
his
in general,
podcast will be in the description.
Yeah, all of his links will be in the description, 100%.
Check that out.
But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that.
Subscribe, man. Please.
Please. We'll see you next Saturday for the next pod. Thank you.
Peace.